please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
I might mention each of you have an invitation to there we go. Each of you have an invitation to an event with 8 to 12 churches coming together in the park March 27th, a Saturday. And everybody's welcome. If there's a church out there that wants to be involved, they can call me at 238-7005. Let us pray. Father God, we thank you and praise you for this great nation we're privileged to live in. And Lord, first of all, we lift up our leaders in Washington. And Lord, because we've all sinned and fall short of your glory, we put ourselves in this prayer with them, Lord, that you would change their hearts in any way that needs to be changed and reveal to them your direction, your plan for their own lives, for the city, country that they're working for, and, Lord, for each of their families. Lord, for this meeting here today, we thank you for the leaders before us. We ask you to protect and lead and guide each one of them. Give them divine direction for this meeting. And, Lord, help each of us to discuss the issues before us with respect to everybody involved. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. City Secretary, the first item.
First item is the mayor's report.
Okay, because the MPO presentation is going to take a little while. I think we'll go with that and then move on to the other stuff. But let me make the Housing Authority announcement. The reappointment of Ruben Herrera and B. Lopez on the Housing Authority. And then now we're going to go to the MPO. Mark's going to do a presentation what the MPO is, what it's about, synopsis of it anyway.
I'll be brief, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, Honorable City Commissioners, I'm Mark Lund. I'm with the Brownsville Metropolitan Planning Organization. We'll outline what we do and what we're working on. Next slide. There are 386 MPOs in the United States. All of them have an approved work plan that's reviewed by the Federal Transit and also the Federal Highway Administration. This is the one that we're working on this year. Next slide. We conduct the transportation plan for the Brownsville urbanized area. We try to have all the entities work together. We don't have a separate plan for the port, one for the county. All the entities, TxDOT, the city, the county, Los Fresnos, Rancho Viejo, the port, the school system, all of them are working together. The city of Brownsville is the host agency and it's also the fiscal agent. Next slide. Our staff, we have 4 staff members. I'm the director. Alfonso Viejo is our map guru, and he's here tonight. He does a lot of excellent work. Alicia Justilian is our secretarial person. Tom Logan at Bus. Could you go back? I'm sorry. Hi, Mr. Kevin. Typically, 100% of the expenses are reimbursed. They're federal monies. The MPO cannot do any lobbying. We can share information, and we do that. And so that information that we provide, you can use that on your trip to Washington, but we're not involved in lobbying. Okay, next image. We do planning and programming. The programming means that we look at the available funding. Usually it's typically federal funding, and then we select what can fit within the fiscal constraint. The prioritization of the projects, that is the main decision-making process or power of the policy committee members. Next, we have to comply with federal regulations. All of the federal projects, whether the ones that have been happening for the last 3 decades, whether the widening of the expressway, the pending projects, the widening of the Los Tomates Bridge, the Veterans Bridge at Los Tomates, West Rail, all those projects have to be included in the MPO's TIP or MTP? MTP is our long-range plan, Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and the TIP is the acronym for the 4-year plan, the next 4 years. All right, next image. This is our long-range plan. This was adopted in December. You can see the entities, the city, the chamber, the EDC, the navigation district, the 2 other cities, the advisory board at the airport, the Cameron County, and TxDOT. You can see the policy committee members. We have 13 members. A quorum is 7 voting members. All right, next image. This is our representation of, in our 25-year plan, the improvements that we have scheduled. We have the East Loop, the 40-some-odd $million on State Highway 550 or FM 511, as everybody knows that that's about done. We hope to widen 1732 from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. Widening with a divided highway with a median on US 281, a major hurricane evacuation route. Also, you can see the toll project, the one that everybody agrees on, which is State Highway 550, the truck route north of the Rio del Sol area. The, let's see here. I've got to shake this little thing here. Oh, anyway, it's over there by the port. You can see a little loop there. That route is a 3-mile route primarily for trucks, and the RMA got the money because the MPO appealed to the Texas Transportation Commission, and they're funding that, and that's something everybody's in agreement with. Next image, please. These are pending projects, our multimodal terminal. There's also some rail improvements at the Omito Switch Yard, which is funded by the Harlingen MPO, but it's listed in our plan because it's in our geographical area. An additional span, 2 lanes at the Veterans Bridge. Proposition 12 monies to widen FM 3248, West Rail, and also Morrison Road. I think the Morrison Road Fonzie, where we talked to an FHWA official, should be any day now. We hope that that comes through. Next image, please.
Mark, real quick, sorry to interrupt you. On the West Rail, there's two different lines. One
2
says,
different segments.
What is? This is not the West Loop, West Parkway.
Going over the river separately from the rail link, but it's all one big project. Does that answer your question, sir?
Well, no. Let me ask this again. The West Rail, the 2 sections. This is not West Rail, and then the West Loop, West Parkway toll road. Is that
West Parkway is listed in the MTP, but they will have to comply with the FHWA environmental justice requirements. So the MPO did include to adopt that. That was the only item we had a debate on, and one member voted nay. So it did pass and it did get included in the MPO's long-range plan.
and
the West Loop.
when was that? When did that take
That
place?
was December 9th. Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock we had a meeting.
That's the second Wednesday of every month, isn't it? The second Wednesday of every month?
The
that we-
second Wednesday, typically, yeah. The MTP, I've been with the MPO since 1994. The first year, a consultant firm was used to put together the MTP, the long-range plan, and do all of the work, essentially. 5 years later, we have to adopt it every 5 years. We used a consultant firm to do travel demand modeling and to do some maps. And then in '04, we all did it with in-house staff as all reimbursement of federal money for our, and then just now, this year, we did it in-house. And in large part due to Alfonso Vallejo's help with the mapping. Next image, please.
Mark, real quick, I'm sorry to stop
when I
you
get
at this
through,
point.
This won't take much longer.
Okay, I'm
We
sorry,
can
go
ask
ahead, go
whatever
ahead,
you need
go
on
ahead.
the West Loop. I'll be happy. These are, I don't want to go through all these fundings, but we have to know all these categories. Next image. Next image. This one CBI, that's the one that I mentioned for 281. And I hope you folks, when you go to Washington, that we see that we get some of that money in the next federal bill. And I was in contact with the city manager, I know, on that issue, so I hope that's something we can make headway on. Next issue, yeah, next slide, keep going. Some of these, like the Transportation Commission on the strategic priority, the East Loop, that's a project the county and the city are working together, and they hope to get pass-through funding. I think the project call was issued, and the county's going to hope to get $70–80 million to advance that project. And
Explain what
that'll be up
pass-through
to
money is.
the commissioners
Explain
and
what
all.
pass-through money is.
Yeah.
Explain what pass-through money is for those.
Well, yeah, that's confusing, but essentially what it is the city and the county would borrow money, presumably against the bond, the revenues that we get on the Veterans Bridge. You build the project, and you have an agreement going in with TxDOT ahead of time that they will reimburse the two local entities based on the amount of traffic. You know going in what they will pay for a minimum and a maximum. And then depending within that range of traffic, they'll pay you an annual fee for 20 years or so based on, and so in essence, it accelerates the project. We take some of the risk by borrowing, but you know going into it what your deal's going to be with TxDOT. So that's unusual financing, and
But it gets a project built.
yeah, we'll see. I hope, we tried before and we didn't get it, but I hope that we're working with the county to help them on that. Next slide. Municipal projects, we list them in our long-range plan. Next slide. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, we had $7 million approximately for West Rail, and then that $30 million I mentioned on that toll road over by the port. Next slide. I hope not to take too long. I know you had some questions. Next image. Overweight truck fees, same thing. We have to account for that. Next image. Proposition 12, that'll help us with 3248. Next image. Next image. Yeah, in the 15-year period coming up, we expect to get in all these categories about over $200 million. Next image. In the following 15-year period, we expect to get $253 million on the different categories. The rehab, obviously that's for the TxDOT system to maintain it. Next image. Our long-range plan, these are the things we have to account for. A lot of federal requirements. Next image. It's not a wish list. We have to use reasonable expectations on the financing. And some of these things are uncertain. We really don't know whether the new federal bill will include the CBI monies that just go for the TxDOT districts on the border, the FAR district, Laredo, El Paso, and that's so why your trip to Washington is important. Next image. These are things that are pending in the next year or two. West Rail, the bus multimodal, East Morrison Road, Veterans Bridge. Also, there's a rehab project that's underway now over there by the port. Next image. Bus, the transit element's part of our plan. Next image. A lot of times what the MPO does takes a long time. We did this study, spent about $100,000 in 1996, and then years later the $100 million was spent to widen the expressway. We looked at the ramp reversals. This is when I began to get a better understanding of public involvement. My job's not to convince people whether something's good or bad. My job is to get them to the meeting, get them educated. They have their opinions, yay or nay, and then some policy decision makers make decisions. So we don't try to convince people, we just try to get them into the process, get them involved, and then they can make up their own minds when they have the information on whether they like something or don't like it, or whether they want to make a comment or not make a comment. Next image. This is an in-house study that we did some years ago. The MPO looked at a corridor. We can do corridor studies. By involving property owners, we got some of the right-of-way donated for free. Now that our study is done, it'll be up to Eddie Santillan at engineering to work with property owners. But the MPO is able to lay out some of the parameters on corridors development. Next image. We just did a big land use study. Alfonso, I'd like you all to have a copy of our report. We looked at different scenarios. The business as usual or sprawl scenario was scenario A. Scenario B was more intensity and land use of density. And we estimate that the three communities, Brownsville, Los Fresnos, and Rancho Viejo could save about $900 million on infrastructure costs. And in terms of our highway investments, whatever the scenarios, A, B, or C, it really doesn't make a big difference in terms of the MPO plans. Our delay, you look at the population of Brownsville in 2030, and under scenario A versus B, it's a difference of a minute or a minute and a half of travel time. So it's really insignificant. The big differences on the scenarios would be in terms of your infrastructure costs for building additional PUB, water and sewer, fire, and police coverage. So if you have questions about that study document, let us know. Next image. This is our thoroughfare plan. We protect the city's right-of-ways when roadways are developed in the subdivisions. We also coordinate with the county and their thoroughfare plan. Last image. We're working with Cameron County on a hazardous cargo routing study. We're going to have some public hearings at the end of April. Also, we're doing a bicycle and pedestrian needs assessment. We'll be kicking off that meeting tomorrow at the library at 6:45, Brownsville Main Library. Anybody's welcome to come and be part of that committee. Last image. You had questions. Commissioner Camarillo?
Mark, I guess my question was if the MPO voted to support the West Loop, West Parkway, and the City Commission about a year and a half ago voted not to support it, how far does MPO go and look at what the City Commission did to say, you know, we were against this, against any type of a toll road in our community? Well, how far do you?
The person who spoke against it was our county commission, and he cited the quality of life issues that I think were referenced in the memo, your resolution.
Well, how far did you go as being our MPO director?
I mentioned that in my individual assessment, that the big issue that I look at is the access at the other commercial nodes at State Highway 48, FM 802, Morrison Road, 3248, and that under the RMA proposal, there's no access. And that would really severely hurt the city's ad valorem and sales tax revenues. So that's an issue I think that the commission needs to look at, along with the West Brownsville issue, it poses a lot of deleterious consequences for the city. One of the things that's unusual on this RMA proposal, and I've thought about it for a long time, it seems very difficult to understand how can, when we don't have a huge amount of traffic on Central Boulevard, how can there be an economic justification to do it? And the reason is they're looking at a 50-year period. In most planning, you look at a 20 or a 30-year period. But if you're looking over a 50-year period where Brownsville's population will go beyond doubling, you can do a project and lose money for 20 years and then in the third decade start to make your money. So, but in terms of I work for anybody and everybody on the policy committee. I don't try and persuade one person versus another. I work for all of you. And so, I'm a resource. You have questions, I'm ready to meet with you at any time.
Everybody to attend, it's the second Wednesday of this month. This is not a workshop, Mark.
Right.
So, but if anybody has a brief question, real quick, so we can move on.
But I mean,
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mark.
thank you, sir.
Okay, let's go to the Commissioner's report. Commissioner Atkinson?
I'm gonna pass.
Okay. Commissioner Camarillo?
Yes. Voting, we give a couple of minutes to Dr. Gallo to talk about the biggest rules in the Commission.
But I wanted to invite everyone to this coming Saturday. The next 2 Saturdays coming up are the midway point of the Biggest Loser challenge. And so the 20th and the 27th are particular big events. On the 20th, Su Clinica Familiar is sponsoring an activity day at Linear Park adjacent to the farmers market. Thank you. Including a station where kids can play Wii, music, exercise classes, and our speaker or featured speaker is a man named Danny Cahill, who won season 8 of the National Biggest Loser, losing 293 pounds. So it should be a really fun day and quite inspirational, and bring your kids and enjoy the park. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No problem.
Commissioner Murillo?
This past Saturday, we had, well, I want to thank all the participants that came out and walked with me on March the 6th. It was a great, great time. I want to thank Commissioner Gowan and our Channel 12 folks and everyone who participated 4A. I want to thank Jason Hiltz and his staff for walking, but also for providing the waters for the event. It was very much needed, and it was a great event. I really, really enjoyed it quite a bit. So hopefully we get to do it. Hopefully we get a chance to do it, to go out there and walk again. This past weekend we had a anti-graffiti mural project complete on 401 East Jefferson. It's the CJ grocery store that many of you all might be very familiar with, but we brought about 30 or 40 kids, and with adults it was probably about 50, 60 people that worked all day from 8:30 to about 5 o'clock p.m. If you haven't gone by to see the mural, please go by. A lot of the kids from Cummings worked real hard. We had 3 winners that will be receiving a cash prize. I want to thank the city's help for this, but I also want to thank Officer Castillo, who created the initiative and had the support of Lieutenant Etheridge and Chief Garcia. They did a fantastic job coordinating and making this all happen. I also want to thank Principal Gonzalez and Principal Longoria at Cummings Middle School for allowing their kids and us to be a part of something that I thought was very special. These kids painted their drawings onto a building that was lent to us by Mr. Medina, who's the owner of CJ Grocery Store. And it was just fantastic to see all the kids Saturday morning, put their hands on a wall and paint and do all the things that they did. Was really, really amazing. A lot of work, but it was very fun. And so I think we learned a lot. I think the kids learned a lot about themselves and about not tagging and not placing graffiti in other buildings. I think they really kind of had a sense of ownership of that community store. So I want to thank all the kids, all the volunteers, and also Home Depot for the grant, and Lowe's for giving us a grant as well. And last, this Saturday, we're going to have a senior day. Basically what we're going to do is we're looking for volunteers to come help clean properties of senior citizens. We're going to identify at least 15 to 20 homes of the elderly in Bronzeville that need cleaning, whether it's to remove a tree or plant something or pick up trash or help them remove something that's been there for a while. The city, in partnership with Healthy Communities and Keep Bronzeville Beautiful, is taking on this project as part of the Great American Cleanup. And so if any of you all know of an elderly that needs help cleaning their yard, please contact the city, contact myself, and we would be more than happy to go out there over the weekend and help them out. So again, if you all wish to participate, we'll be meeting Saturday at 8 a.m. at the city's recycling center with ESD on West Elizabeth. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Triani?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to comment. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of going with Mr. Ayala and Mr. Cowan on behalf of the city to Mexico City, and we were invited down there by the senator for San Luis Potosí. He had come down about a year ago and visited and wanted to increase trade and tourist relations with Brownsville. Had come up with the Brownsville Visitors and Convention Bureau the Destino Brownsville plan, and they came down and we had a meeting for them at the Museum of Fine Arts. It was a very nice event. There were members from the port, there were members from the Brownsville Visitors and Convention Bureau, a lot of different people from around the city, from GBIC and different organizations, and we really tried to extend and show the people from San Luis Potosí that Brownsville wanted to work with our neighbors in Mexico. I was very surprised that he remembered many of us and invited us down to Mexico City, and they had a proclamation for us at the Senate there, and we have that coming up fairly shortly. But it was very interesting to learn about the interest in relocating to the Rio Grande Valley by many of the people in Mexico. Obviously, we've heard about some of the issues in Mexico right now, but the potential gain for our community with income, with people who are educated and able to provide services and the financial wherewithal to assist us was very eye-opening. And I was very pleased at also the discussion about people who still just want to travel, even with all the economic troubles that we've heard about. And I know that we were all complaining about some of the sales tax issues, but the desire for many people in central Mexico to come up and continue to shop and to plan trips to shop in Brownsville. And so it was a very worthwhile event, and I want to thank Mr. Ayala, Mr. Cowan, Mr. Tripp, and everyone who took the time out to participate in that, and for their service in that, and also the people from San Luis Potosí, because they were enthusiastic, to say the least. Now, as Dr. Cowan had mentioned, Gowan had mentioned, on March 27th, we're going to have a Biggest Loser event at Dean Porter Park, and that's going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to go to roughly around 11 o'clock. And Mr. Kang from Kang's Taekwondo has been gracious enough to offer his services. His school will be out there. He will be giving a demonstration and teaching some very basic moves as well as calisthenics that anybody could do on a daily basis, along with basic exercises at the park. It should be a good time. Mr. Kang obviously is a highly qualified martial arts instructor. He's one of probably the only people in South Texas with a 9th degree black belt in Taekwondo. He was a bodyguard for the Korean president, so he has some understanding of the concept of martial arts, and he will be there. And I will be there as well, but I think I'll just be watching. And recently, the mayor, Mr. Kabler, and I had the opportunity to visit with Leadership Brownsville, and really enjoyed the participation. And I urge other people to apply for the program, to get involved. We just recently had the first round of elections, and we need to get people involved and active in local politics, because the best way to improve our government is to have qualified candidates. And programs like Leadership Brownsville, other programs where people can get involved and they can see that just one person can make a difference, I think are very important. And I commend them for their participation, and I want to thank them for coming down to City Hall and giving us the opportunity to speak to them. And then the last thing I want to talk about was United Brownsville. We're going to have a meeting on April 7th. It's going to be a workshop for the new committees, and that will be occurring over at IBC Bank. It is a workshop. It's not necessarily a formal meeting. It's more of a discussion on how things are going to get done. But I did want to keep people posted on what was going on there, so that if there are questions in the future as to what is happening and how things are progressing, obviously our hope is to have transparency and to keep people included and to continue the communications between the different organizations. I think it's a must, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have proclamations. Shenanigans Irish Pub and Grill. Who's here to receive it?
They're going to come next meeting.
Okay, so we'll table that. And we'll do it next week, okay? Or next meeting. Destino Brownsville.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe that Mr. Ayala's here. I don't know if he has the proclamation that was awarded to the city of Brownsville.
Please, let's go.
If y'all want to get down, it's kind of a little backwards, because actually this is a proclamation that is being delivered to the city of Brownsville from the BCB and also Senator Alejandro Zapata Perogordo from San Luis Potosí. And so Mr. Ayala is here with the proclamation that we received from the Senate in Mexico City. And I will read this, and you will forgive me for my pronunciation. And it states, El Estado de San Luis Potosí y el Senado de la República Mexicana otorgan el presente reconocimiento a los distinguidos ciudadanos de Brownsville, Texas, Estados Unidos de Norteamérica y miembros de Brownsville Convention y Visitors Bureau, señores. And there's a list of the names of the persons: el señor Don Charlie Kabler, el señor Don Ralph Cowan, el señor Don Anthony Troiani, el señor Don Tim Trapp, el señor Don Eduardo Figueroa, el señor Don Tony Rodriguez, señora Doña Pate Ayala, y señor Don Mariano Bean Ayala, the Brownsville Visitors Convention Bureau, por su decidida participación en los eventos Destino Brownsville en esta ciudad y como miembros fundadores del inicio de las relaciones multidisciplinarias entre nuestras respectivas comunidades, cuyos resultados habrán de beneficiar a esta y futuras generaciones, otorgado en San Luis Potosí a los 20 días del mes de junio de 2008, no, it's in cursive. Atentamente, licenciado Alejandro Zapata Perogordo, Senado de la República Mexicana por el Estado de San Luis Potosí, y licenciado Juan Salvador Zarte Booker, notario público. And I was just very impressed and very honored by the kindness and the generosity of all the people that were there, and their true enthusiasm for the city of Brownsville. It was a really nice trip, and they were very enthusiastic about coming to visit and meeting with everybody here. And I want to thank you all. And on behalf of them, Mr. Ayala, Mr. Cowan, and everyone else, I'd like to present the city and the mayor with this plaque.
You know, something like this is not a one-time event. It's an everyday event. And Brownsville, since I've been mayor, has been working with Mexico and building alliances since I got elected, because I believe in the importance of those alliances and the importance to have good relations, good communication, and to welcome our visitors shopping or investing or just good friendship, and to keep our culture and our traditions alive. So this is not just one-time event. It's something that we must work on daily. And Ralph Cowan is a good ambassador, so is Tim Trapp, and all the people here, they're ambassadors for our city that come in contact with our friends to the south. Thank you for forwarding that to us, Commissioner Triani. Thank you all. Let's go to consent agenda items.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Gowan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.
Item 5, consideration and action to appoint 12 members to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Ben?
Mayor, City Commissioners, tonight, the process begins for our Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee. This is the committee that will plan for you, develop a budget for the home, the CDBG, and the emergency shelter grants. It's a process that is tasking and challenging, but we always have a good committee. Here in yellow are the positions that are vacant. Terms have expired, so we need, for each those yellow positions, slots, we need a representative that will represent you. The mayor, you need three people. Commissioner Longoria, you have Marisol, and also Joe Wallace, that they can continue. They could be reappointed, and I believe they want to continue. Commissioner Atkinson, you have two. Commissioner Zamora, Jaime Perez, still can serve again. Can you hear me? And you have a vacant position, and it's your decision if you want to reappoint him. That's your choice. Commissioner Camarillo, Ms. Ana Perez, and you do have a vacant slot. Mr. Triani, Mr. Jesus Quesada can serve again, and you have a vacant position. And Dr. Gowan, you have two vacant positions. I know that you may not have names tonight, but we can continue. If you can call the people, they can contact me if they need further information. But whenever you're ready with that appointment.
Commissioner Longoria?
Do we need to have the forms filled out for the applications for these appointments?
That would be good, yes.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you, I got my three, but I didn't call them to ask if they're willing to serve. And I just got back from Mexico. I was in Victoria. I just crossed the bridge to get to the meeting. So I didn't go home and pick up my stuff here. So I'm going to wait till next meeting for mine. Is anybody ready to appoint?
And if you could give me names, I can
I'm going to reappoint Laura Cakeley and add on Cindy Hilote. She works for the DA's office.
Okay. Their application's already in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have two appointments by Commissioner Atkinson. Does anybody have an appointment? No?
I do.
You do?
I do. I'd like to appoint Craig Grove. He has an application that's been pending for a while.
Okay. You just lacking one?
Yes, as far as I understand, yes, just one.
Okay. So we have
and you have Mr. Jaime Perez. If you wish to continue with his appointment, that will be.
Does he wish to be reappointed?
Yes.
Okay, I move to reappoint him as well.
Okay, so we have two appointments from Commissioner Zamora. Okay, based on that, can I have a motion to approve?
So I'd like to reappoint Mr. Quesada. I think you indicated that Mr. Quesada wanted to serve?
Yes.
Okay, I would make that motion. I'll keep the other one pending.
Ben, and on mine, I'm going to reappoint Joe Wallace Garcia. And to replace Marisol Longoria, it's going to be Blanca Moreno, and I'll have her application in tomorrow.
Okay, based on that, does anybody else have any appointments?
I'm going to reappoint Ana Perez, and then I will find another candidate at our next meeting.
Okay, for the next meeting? Okay. Does anybody else have any? Okay. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Triani, second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any discussion?
And we're just motioning to get all these in, right?
Yeah.
So the motion's till.
Yes, recognizing all the appointments we're
recognize the
stating.
slate of
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 6, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1518 to amend Chapter 18 Building and Building Regulations of the Code of Ordinances, to amend Article 11 Energy Conservation Code by adding Division 4 Wind Energy Systems, Sections 18-750 through 18-758, and dealing with related matters.
Good evening, Commissioners. As we discussed a couple of sessions ago, this is with regards to wind energy and just small wind energy in particular, with installing it at your house and not the utility scale. We tabled it at that point, and you asked us to go cooperate with PUB. They are here. We passed out a if you just want to read the.
Ben, did you get with PUB?
Yes, we did.
Okay, we coordinated with PUB. They're here.
And they favor this?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Mr. James McCann is here to give this presentation if you wish.
Any comments from PUB? Any comments?
No.
Anybody from PUB? None?
Move to close.
You are familiar with this? civil engineer, Fernando? I just want to make sure.
Mayor and members of the commission, I'm Fernando Saenz, the Assistant General Manager, Chief Operating Officer for the PUB. We did work with Mr. Medina and his staff. Our staff did to develop this program alongside with our initiatives at the PUB. So we are in favor of it and looking forward to having some of our citizens connecting to our system.
Great. I just want to make sure. Okay. Can I have a motion to close public hearing? Motion to close by Commissioner Atkinson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is this an action item? Motion to approve by Commissioner Atkinson.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2010-1090-G to amend Chapter 2, Article 2 of the City Code by replacing ordinance 2008-1090-F regarding the preparation of agendas, the conduct of city commission meetings, public comment, and dealing with related matters.
Commissioner Zamora, I left this up to the city secretary. You had some concerns. Were they addressed?
Yes, they've been addressed. I do have just one pending concern which pertains to the public comment section on 2. Number 2G, which states that an individual wishing to address the city commission regarding a particular agenda item must wait until the appropriate agenda item is read by the city secretary. I do have a concern with that because if someone wants to participate in public comment and the agenda item that they're going to address is later or after the public comment period,
Well, that should be up to the chair, not, because some items you cannot discuss. It should be up to the chair. We're not talking about public comments at all? This is going beyond the public comments?
Generally, the commission has the option to go ahead and open up an item
Right.
if they wish to do so.
Yeah,
But we're putting it down to where it won't be discussed until after the item is read, as opposed to them coming up at public comment period to
they gotta be
discuss an
recognized by the
agenda
chair.
item. But they can
They
be
gotta have to be
recognized by the chair.
Does it say that? Because like I tell you, I just got in.
It may need to be reworded a little bit differently.
Would you-
If you
would that
like,
be
we
okay
can
with
go ahead
you?
and make a
Well,
change.
if we have maybe 2 or 3 people coming to talk about an agenda item that is after public comment, they can address that item in public comments? I mean, I have a problem
Well,
with
the way it
that.
reads right now, I don't think they would be able to. So if we want to make a change on that, that would be fine, especially if it's not a public hearing. These are for items that are not public hearings.
Okay, I think what you're trying to say is that you want and I don't have no problem with this. Let me see if I understand you right. You want the public to have the opportunity during the public comment period to address a certain item they may be concerned about. That's what you're addressing?
Yes, even if it's after the public comment period.
Even if it's after the public comment period?
Because the way I read
Yeah.
it, they can't address any item
Well,
unless it's already been discussed.
but it's got to be opened by the commission to address the public. Legal? What's your opinion?
What is the issue?
Pardon me?
Your issue is in regard to public comment?
A public comment during an action item that's not the public comment period, but consideration an action item that comes up before this commission. The way it states there that the citizen has a right to address that particular item after it's been read. My position is that it should be recognized by the commission, opened up for discussion. They just don't have the right to come in and just start a debate.
With public comment, are we talking about just general public comment?
There's 2 different things we're talking about here.
We're talking about public hearing.
No, we're talking about the public comments where citizens sign up, they have 3 minutes to speak. They can talk about an agenda item if they want to, okay? That's one issue.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
Oh,
what I
that's
need
what you're talking about?
clarification on, yes. I want them to be able to discuss any item that they wish to in public comment.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Relating to the agenda.
I don't have any, yeah, I don't have any problem.
But see, but that's not what the form says.
Hold
The
on,
form
I have a
says,
question.
Wait a second. the commission on it. Okay, Commissioner Trey?
It was my understanding, and, you know, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was my understanding that if you were going to sign up for public comment, then you should not comment on an agenda item because you could voice your opinion at that time when there were public comments on a public hearing issue. So your public comment issue should be something that was not related to something that was going to come up later, because that was something that you would bring up that was out of the ordinary or was not already addressed before there was a proper time for you to speak. That was my understanding. I thought that was the way we've been doing it.
Well, I don't have any problem with the public, during public comments, commenting on an agenda item that's going to be coming up. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if anybody, you know, we could change it, keep it, do
Well,
away
it's
with
my
it.
understanding that was the way it was done. If that's going to change, fine, but that was my understanding. So if you're going to have public comments,
The thing is, we cannot engage at the moment that that's being discussed during public comment, but we can engage when the item comes up.
right?
Okay.
That being the whole point, is that you
Yeah.
can engage on those issues and we can engage them. Public comment is just a free-for-all.
Okay, well, good, well, point taken.
If-
Whatever the wishes of the commission.
If I may say something on that item 2G, it does say that the individual must wait until the appropriate agenda item is read by the city secretary, but it also says that the mayor may acknowledge the request for commentary or question. So that if public comment period is over and someone comes up for item 20 or 25, and it's been read, and it's not a public hearing, it's an action item, and if they want to make a commentary, the mayor may recognize them.
That's the way I understood it to be. But we're talking about the public comment section of individuals having the right to say something about the upcoming item. That's what
Okay.
you're talking about.
Because that's not
Right.
the way it's written here.
Yeah, it's not the way it's written.
Okay.
It just
Well,
reads differently.
whatever the wishes of the
Clarify it.
commission is okay with me. Y'all want to keep it the way it is, or y'all want to change it?
Mayor, right now, the public comments are limited to a certain amount of time. In other words, there's a period for public comment, at which time a certain designated group of individuals can get up and address the commission. The way this rule is written is that when an item comes up on the agenda, then you'd have people making public comments, basically turning the public comments into public hearings. So the way we're doing it right now is when there's matters that there are public hearings, the public can come up and comment on that specific agenda item. And the city charter also guarantees individuals the right to make public comments during a specific public comment period. I'm a little bit concerned that this rule kind of mixes that all up, and then you have people making public comments during individual agenda items which aren't public hearings.
Okay.
And that might delay the meeting.
Very good point then. So how would you word it then?
Well, I would continue it, basically continue to have a period of time to give people the opportunity to make public comments, which is guaranteed in the city charter, as opposed to having people standing up at different periods of time throughout the meeting. And then I think it's better and fair to have an opportunity, a sign-up list, and you have a certain number of people that can sign up, and the people that sign up first can have the opportunity to speak.
So could you work on the language appropriate and bring it back next time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Is that okay with the commission?
Mark, isn't that how it's done now?
That is how it's done now, and I think.
So then we don't need to vote on this, we can just,
No, but the way it
I
is
mean-
right now is changed.
Well, the way it is, wait a minute, when you say the way it is right now, what we're doing right now is what I'm talking about. The way
Well-
it is written in this ordinance.
the way this one is written,
different.
but prior to today is
Prior
what you
to
just
today,
mentioned,
I'm
what we've been
talking
doing.
about is the way we've always done it.
And I agree with that, and I think we should continue that way.
Okay, do you just want to adopt that language exactly the same?
I would use
There wouldn't be any change.
substantially the same as we're doing now.
Okay, do you want to bring it back next time and get it worked out
I
right?
would suggest we bring this ordinance back next time.
Okay. Is that okay?
Can I have a question? Obviously, this was put on by a commissioner. What was your intent, so we can know what you're talking about?
I was asked to support this item only to revise the form to state, has the individual made an opportunity to contact a city staff member? That way we knew that there was some sort of intent to clarify the matter or address the concern. And if it hadn't, then we can address that concern with the appropriate city staffer as to why the concern hadn't been addressed. That was the only thing that I was approving on this.
And-
The revision of the form itself to include, had you contacted a city employee, who's a city employee, that's it.
So all we want to
Which
do
was
is
a fair thing.
amend,
That's what I wanted to do.
all you want to do is amend the form. And
Yes.
that's it.
And that was
And
my
that should be-
intent too, but
That's fine.
the city secretary is trying to make it better, that's all. So she went and looked at it and was trying to make it better.
There
So-
were some items in that ordinance that didn't need to be there, and I reviewed them with Mr. Chosey.
So let's give
and
her
they
the
were internal
opportunity.
items.
So let's give
But
her
if
the
you want to
opportunity
bring
to
it
work
back,
with.
that's fine, I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with that.
let's give her the opportunity to work with Saucy and bring it back, if that's okay. I mean, if she can make it better, I welcome it. Okay?
Mr. Mayor, the issue that I have with item G is right now, a certain group of people have the opportunity to speak. And basically, as long as they speak within their 3 minutes, as long as they're addressing an issue of public concern, it's their right to address those issues. Whether people like it or not, they have the right to address those issues. The way item G is written, it says the mayor may acknowledge the request for commentary or question, and then it says once acknowledged, the speaker shall come to the designated microphone, which seems to imply that maybe people have the right to speak on the issue or maybe not.
Well, it depends if they're contributing something that would benefit the public good, then the mayor should have that right to acknowledge if the issue warrants it. But it's already decided as far as, there's nothing wrong with the city secretary because she deals with this, trying just to make it a little better. If you would get with her and see if you can come up with something that we can all live with, I mean, I don't think it'll hurt anything.
Well,
Okay?
Mayor, I will say this, that I agree with City Attorney Mark Sassi that, again, if somebody wants to come up to public comment or speak on an item in public, through the open public hearing, then they should be able to do,
I
they
agree.
should be able to do both.
I agree, and the way it reads differently.
Okay.
And
But
I'll
they're
make the
gonna work
motion to
on it.
table. I'm sorry, to close the public hearing. Oh, I'm
Uh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is a public hearing, I'm sorry.
Let me just say
I
this.
retract that.
The commission has the opportunity to get with the city attorney and the city secretary and provide your comments, and then they can come up with something that we all can live with. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody else want to say something?
I'm just curious, I was looking at 1090F and 1090G. 1090F had items under B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why was it removed? And will it continue to be removed in the future? One of the things happens to be that items placed on the agenda must include supporting information when presented for city manager or designee's review and signature at the agenda review meeting. One original of each must be presented. That's no longer there. It doesn't say you have to, according to G, it also doesn't say you have to have the information prior to 5 o'clock on the website. Why is that no longer there? That's a concern to me because you would think that you would want to have it there as much as possible so everybody can know it. I understand that the Texas Open Meetings Act allows it to happen, allows it to be put place, but it's not there anymore. If you're all going to make changes to 1090F to make it 1090G, it's pretty much the same as it is right now, 1090F and 1090G, with the exception of that particular thing, and also eliminating oh gosh, I'm completely lost. Eliminating a particular word. There's a particular word in regards to city commissioners or the mayor disrupting the meeting, and an individual, whether they disrupt the meeting from a member of the public. My concern is you added the word offending a city commissioner, because later on in the ordinance it says offending individual or member of the public as if they're automatically guilty. And it doesn't have that in 1090F. It does now in 1090G. I don't know if there was a particular reasoning why that was added or not added. But it does differentiate the stature of, I guess, the city commissioner or the mayor being above a member of the public for not being able to be mentioned as offending or not offending. With regards to what you all were talking about with the mayor may acknowledge the request for commentary or question. That has been the practice that the mayor will be able to do that, but I like to point out to one particular meeting last year in which George Gavito, who was a member of the Brownsville Convention Visitors Bureau, wanted to speak and actually stood up and said he wanted to speak, but the mayor refused to acknowledge him from being able to speak, and it was just an action item. If that's going to be the practice, of not allowing a person to be able to speak because the mayor doesn't feel that his input is important or not important, then I would suggest that the mayor must acknowledge be added as opposed to may acknowledge, and to comport or to conform to what the form says. That says the form that the city secretary has now developed says you can't use this form. It actually says if you want to use this form for public comment, go right ahead. But if it's an agenda item, you don't use this form. Then how is this person going to be able to sign up before 6 o'clock if they're not even allowed to use the form? And in that particular instance, I think the mayor should or must be allowed to recognize that particular person. The other concern I have is regards to if you're going to change this ordinance, again, for I think this is the 8th time you're going to be changing this ordinance, you could allow the same rules for the public as you do for city, allow the same rules you do for the public for city commissioners. For example, in the ordinance 1090F and 1090G as well, you have the citizens or the members of the public cannot be using their cell phones during the meeting, but you all can for whatever reason. If it's the cell phones being disruptive, you can, I guess, kick them out. There is no punishment, actually. But that you all can use your cell phones freely or get up and, snicker or talk. I know during Mark Lynn's presentation, 2 commissioners were just, talking amongst themselves, distracting, I guess, Mark Lynn or any member of the public from being able to listen to somebody.
We're talking about city businesses.
It's quite possible they weren't.
If
That's
we're
true.
asking questions about the presentation, you don't know that, so you're
That's
making
possible, but they were laughing. I mean, is that really?
You're making assumptions.
Why would they be laughing about city business? I don't know. It's just the fact is that you don't allow the members of the public to be able to make conversation, or you should refrain from conversing. Why is it okay for them to use it?
I'm also a mother, so sometimes I do get text messages from my children.
I completely understand, but if you do get a vibration, exit the room as opposed to using it while you're doing it there. And you're not going to listen to it anyway, but I mean, I'm just giving you the opportunity to actually hear me.
City Hall.
I'm sure.
You have a right to come speak.
I just like to
I have a
make
right
sure that,
ignore you if I want to ignore you.
of course, you do it all the
We
time,
are
so it's not a
listening to
problem.
you. You are here, and
Yeah.
you are part of the process. We're listening to you.
I'm
Make
hoping
your
you do.
comments.
I really do hope you do, because I mean, if you're going to
Doesn't mean we
make
have to
it
agree
better.
with you. Doesn't mean we have to agree with you, okay? If you
My-
want to change it, and you want to voice that, we welcome it. Now, what else do you want?
There's a section in here with regards to agenda item or agenda preparation. It says the city manager or person designated by the city manager for items dealing with operation or administration of their respective job functions. I'd like there to be some maybe force or strict adherence to this. I know a few meetings ago, I'm not going to say who did it, but somebody came up with an issue that had really nothing to do with their department. They put it on the agenda, and they never went to the Planning and Zoning Commission, my understanding is they never spoke to the Planning and Zoning Director or Planning Community Development Director. I don't believe it was part of his job description to put an item on the agenda as though he does that sort of stuff. I believe that, if you're going to have to put an item on the agenda, and your director, you go through your city manager and say, hey, this is the agenda item, and not, circumvent, other people's duties or other people's job descriptions. I know that there's some sort of lawsuit, in regards to making personal comments or making comments of personal nature or saying somebody's particular name during public comment. And that's, I guess, it's in the court system right now. I'm wondering if maybe you all could just hold off on it until that decision is made by the particular judge. If not, maybe make the changes that this person is asking.
This public hearing is on the form.
I know, and I'm
So-
just making that point
So
because
you're out of the scope of the
no, I'm
public
not.
hearing.
The personal nature is still in there. I cannot, I
We have an
cannot say
attorney
somebody's
For
name.
lawsuits, to go talk to our attorney. We can't discuss the lawsuit.
I'm not asking you to discuss the lawsuit. I'm just saying that in the ordinance right now, in 1090G and 1090F, it doesn't answer any of those questions. It still says I cannot mention you by name. I have to mention everybody by as a whole. And it also says I can't make personal natures. Again, they're just snickering and laughing. I don't know why, but they are. But I appreciate, more decorum. I mean, I'm not here all the time, but I know what people see it on TV, and it's not fair, and it's not right, and it doesn't make us look good as a community. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Odesti. This is a public hearing for a simple little form that we're trying to change to make it better. You're welcome to comment on it.
Roberto Oresti. Just real simple about these public comments. Okay. One time I tried to get permission from you, Mayor, on an action item, but you denied me because you said I spoke on that particular item on the public hearing, okay? So you said you can't speak no more on that. You already came up. So you stopped me. You told me to sit down. I did it. I wasn't going to argue with that point. What is being brought up right now is you can bring up, some people come up here and want to speak on an item agenda on the public comment.
Okay, what is in reference to this item right here, what is it that you're suggesting we do? What is it that you want to see done?
It's real simple. If they want to speak on the public comment on the, any item on the agenda, they should.
Okay.
That's very simple, sir.
Your comments noted.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and
Okay, what
it
else?
shouldn't be, and another thing is, when, as a whole, that you do laugh, you put people down, you make terrible comments, that should not be part, because you said yourself, just for the people, but
I'm not
a lot of,
perfect.
yes, sir, you're not perfect, and you said, I'm not perfect neither, but the thing is, you need to respect anyone who comes up here, sir.
You're
And in the
respected,
public
sir.
forum, you need to do it.
You're
And they're
respected.
watching it, because they tell me they're not very pleased with you guys.
What else do you have here to contribute to this public
You
hearing?
need to actually let us speak.
I
I
have a
know
meeting
that,
to- I have a meeting to conduct, sir. Stick to the item. What is it that you want to contribute
don't
towards
change
this
it.
public hearing?
It's all right. Anyone can come up here and speak on any topic on the agenda, and it's very simple. I don't know why she's trying to make it censor us again. That's
not-
all it seems to
who's
be.
trying to
It's
do
a
that?
censorship about this
Can you
board.
stick to the
Yes,
piece,
but
to
the whole thing is the public
hearing?
comment is,
I'm not
Sir.
trying to censor anything. I don't understand if you didn't hear what I said. I wanted to change
you didn't
the
understand
form.
yourself when you brought this item up either. So you're all confused
I wanted
yourself.
to change the form to include if someone had been contacted from the city, who that person was. And that was it. That was it.
You know,
Because
the
I wanted to
problem
be
is-
able, can I finish, please,
Yes,
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
I wanted to be able to have the opportunity to follow up with that city employee and find out through the city manager, why wasn't this person's needs or concerns addressed?
Maybe
That's
because
it.
they didn't call the person, real simple, and they just brought it up here.
Well, that's
Very
it.
simple.
That's all the form, that's all I wanted, a change in the form to include what the name of the person was, department that they had a problem with. That's it. That's
Now,
all I wanted.
Mr.
Yes,
Odesti.
That sounds reasonable
So
to me.
I can bring you a whole bunch of problems.
Mr.
the whole
Desti,
city.
all we're trying to do is make it better for the public, to make sure their voices are heard on a particular issue or need. A lot of times, the public comes here, brings up an issue, a need, or a request, we cannot engage, we cannot respond. So we're trying to make it to where if the issue, need, or request is made known first to the proper person, either the city manager or the director of the department, then it's a moot issue. It doesn't have to come before us and the issue's addressed. We want to address the issue, the need or the request, because we cannot respond at the time it's being made, and it's unfair when we don't have all the facts. And we have a city manager form of government who is in charge of the daily operations, not us, okay? And many of those things that come before us here could easily be taken care of with a phone call, sitting down with the city manager, calling the director of the department. We're here to serve, and that's what this form was all about, trying to make it easy to respond to those needs. That's all.
Okay, but it sounds like you don't want us to come up here and bring those issues. That's what I'm looking at.
Not at
Thank
all.
you.
Not at all, Mr.
Okay.
Udesi.
Next, please.
Okay, I don't have a complaint on this one. I'm just here to get clarification and ask a question.
Sure.
Okay? And I admire you for working on this. I know that it is difficult when you're rewording documents like this. By bringing the ordinance up, I noticed two things, and I just wanted clarification from you. First of all, on item C, under voting matters, it does say that items that have been voted on by the City Commission shall not be placed on the agenda for reconsideration within 6 months unless a member of the commission or a prevailing side of the commission member appointed or elected to commission since the matter was considered makes a written request. Basically, the way I'm understanding that is that if you do vote on an item, you do have the ability to change it sometimes either before 6 months or after. Is that correct?
No, what I understand is, if I put an item on the agenda and it fails, I can't bring it up for another 6 months. I don't agree with it, by the way, but that's the way it is.
But it kind of looks like if the prevailing side changes direction, they can bring it up,
Yeah.
and it could be brought before the 6 months. Okay, that was one question that I had. I just want clarification on that. And then under conduct of mayor and commissioners, you know, a lot of people watch the city commission meetings because they really care about what's happening in our community, and some of them watch it because it's more entertaining than a soap opera. I have concerns about the public comment period regarding the 3 minutes, because I do believe everybody deserves their 3 minutes, but sometimes there are some commissioners, I'm not naming names, that interrupt that 3 minutes with personal issues, with argumentative things, which really just prolong the process. So what I wanted to know is how much of the 3 minutes can be ate up by commissioners acting like that, because you other commissioners have the ability to have that person removed if they're prolonging the meeting or disruptive. According to this, comments of a personal nature or any other manner disrupts the orderly conduct of business.
I try to be flexible at times. When I see that's happening, we try to give the person a little more
And
time.
I've seen you attempt to control it, Mayor.
Yeah.
I will take off my hat to you for that. I
thank
do see you attempt to control it.
and
The only
it's not
thing is
easy
that when it comes so long, you know, I know nobody likes to be the bad guy, but maybe that person should be removed so that you can get on with your business.
Yeah, but at one time, I thought there was going to be a fight here. Yeah, I did. And
Well, I think the chief's here.
The police chief was the police chief was ready to move in, and what I did, I just told everybody, calm down, let him vent out, let him say it. He got through it, and he went on his way. I mean, he obviously was real upset, very passionate, and he wanted to say it. So I let him do it. But the other choice would have been, have him removed. But then I think it would have created even a worse scene for us, and I think it didn't merit that. So again, as a chair, I kind of try to control it the best I could.
Well,
so as a chair, you know, I'm not perfect, but I try to take into account if the person's interrupted, to give them a little more time. If the person's being disrespectful, to let them know you
Right.
can't do that. Sometimes they don't listen, though, but we try to.
Oh, I know.
We try to control it.
But remember, sometimes that person's words can get the whole commission in trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please.
The name is Leticia Perez Garzoria. I had something else that I wanted to present, but I can't because I didn't get here on time. I have a knee surgery that I just had in December, and it makes me difficult to walk and get to the places that I need to on time, and that's why I can't formally speak, because I don't have a paper. But I was prepared to speak specifically to that issue, and I'm very concerned over that issue. And if I can pick and choose from what I have, it speaks to the issue.
If this is a public hearing on this form. If you have
Okay,
some
then I'll stick
suggestions,
to that.
criticisms,
That's fine.
whatever you want regarding this form, this is the draft. They have instructions to go back and work on it and then present something. You heard the concept was to try to
Okay, that's
meet
fine.
citizens' needs and address those needs or concerns or requests.
Okay.
That was the intent of the form.
Okay, I have nothing to do with the form, and I'm not a clerical person, I'm a nurse. So if there are concerns that I have, would be a disabled person, could they get here on time? What accommodations do you have for them? Does it even interest anybody? And that would be my concern as a nurse, okay? That is separate and aside. What I'm seeing here, and I'll go back
Well,
to
let me tell you first, let me respond to
February the
that.
2nd, excuse
We
me?
are- We are ADA compliance. We have elevator, we have, ramp, we have all those things to accommodate the handicap.
And therefore, you have more time for the disabled to get here, a couple of minutes, or maybe 3 minutes, or 5 minutes.
Well, the disabled,
Okay.
the
I
disabled has,
understand.
the disabled has a clock just like everybody else. They need to get here
Okay,
earlier.
that's
They need
fine.
more time.
Okay, so there's no accommodation? Thank you.
They have the same clock we all have.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, going back on the form, I have nothing to say about the form. I'm not a clerical person, but I will speak to one issue, and that has been kicked around by this commission back and forth. Oh, let's put the public comments at the beginning. No, let's put them at the end. Oh, how about in the middle? Oh, no, you said, let's not do that. Let's make them wait until they hear all the agenda, so they have to see and they have to hear all of the commissioners. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
That's not on the agenda here.
No, I'm going to my point, if you'll give me a few seconds, okay? So you told this open meeting and the whole public that you wanted to kick it around and so forth and so forth and so forth and so on, and therefore, it got muddled back and it got back to the same thing. So the bottom line in all of this and what I'm seeing here is you all are discouraging public comment. Case in point, Mr. Atkinson, February the 2nd, and he said some very disparaging words.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, this is a public hearing.
Or a
Again,
commissioner.
You're out of line attacking a commissioner.
No, no, this is to the point, because we're going on public comment. He was,
First of all,
he
Ms.
was
Perez,
addressing
Ms.
public
Ms.
comment.
Perez, Ms. Perez, let me tell you. We're not discussing changing the public comment, so you're out of bounds there. And whatever happened sometime back with Commissioner Atkinson, that's something that's not being brought up here, and no personal attacks are allowed. I'm asking you to, and it's my job. I hate to be the bad guy, but this is a good example of how things get out of control. If every individual were to be allowed to do what you're doing, come and talk about everything under the moon, we'd be here till midnight.
No, we're talking about public comment.
This public hearing, unless correct me wrong, if I'm wrong, City Attorney, has to do with this form. Can
Okay,
you
well, let me finish, because I know that you have a full.
Please stick to the point?
Okay.
And make
Then
your
there was
sugge-
disparaging words, okay,
Excuse me, let me
against
finish.
and
Let me
discouraging
finish.
public comment.
Let me finish.
Therefore, on March
see?
the 3rd, on
You're
March the
being rude.
2nd, Mr. Mayor, you're trying to get public comment, but you don't want it.
No, you're not listening to what
On
I'm
March the
trying to tell you.
3rd,
Try
let
to
me,
stick
let
to the
me
form.
finish here. On March the 3rd, speaking of Mr. Ureste's comment, there was no public speakers. And the mayor commented, there's no public speakers, because not only was there a snicker, there was a loud belly laugh. There was a cackle. Absent were Commissioner Longoria and Commissioner Troyani. That's a discouraging thing for the public. I'm sorry.
You're out of order.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Pettis, you're out of order.
Well, isn't that public comment? Are we talking about what
this is not
we were
public
expecting
comment.
and what
This
we're
is a
not?
public
It doesn't
hearing.
matter when
This
you
is a
have the
public
last
hearing.
word and the first word.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's it.
I don't understand you.
No, you're not following the rules. This is a public hearing.
No,
on this
because you don't
form.
like the rules. When it comes to
this is
what
what's
you don't like,
discouraging for public
it's-
servants to come
it's
and be
over.
abused by citizens.
That's all I have to say.
That has nothing to do with that.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Just you are discouraging public commenters. Why? Because you don't like the content, and that's it.
Sign up for the public comment and comment whatever you want on public comment, please.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, just to correct the record, this is a public hearing on an ordinance. The only comments that are proper are those addressed to the ordinance. This is not public comment.
That's right.
It is not an opportunity for people to engage in public comment.
And that's what I've been trying to say, but apparently she does not
Mayor,
listen.
I'd like to say something.
This is a public hearing.
Mayor,
You don't want to listen, madam.
involving this form, I believe the reason this form needs to be changed or has been changed is because of an incident you talk about where somebody came up and accused us of killing people on 802. We're the cause of some deaths on 802, which was an extreme disappointment because this individual knows better. He knows we have been reaching out to TxDOT. And if he would have contacted a city employee and found out that we've all been working hard to get TxDOT to put that light in on Dana Road on 802, he would have known that. But he came up challenging us that we're killing people. I mean, we're all doing this for free. And for someone to come up and claim that we're killing people because we don't take action on trying to get a traffic light, then you know what? I'm glad Commissioner Zamora brought this to the table because it needs to be addressed. Because he didn't reach out to anybody from the city before coming out and talking about his issue. So, too bad.
Okay, we've been working on that for 18 months on that. I remember that exactly, Commissioner Atkinson, and you're right. That was one of the issues that brought it to the attention, trying to avoid some of that stuff, because it can easily be resolved by the citizen contacting the city manager, and that could have been worked out. Okay, Mr. Barrera, you're trying to say something.
My name is Mr. Dagoberto Barrera, and the only thing that I want to say is that you have been very polite to me. I have not been embarrassed anybody. You have not embarrassed me. You gave me a chance to speak. When my time is up, it's up, and I leave. And I think you people are doing a good job for the city of Brownsville. Now that you don't even get a salary, it's even a better job that you're doing. Thank you very much for all the time. Whenever the public comment period comes up, and if I have something that I really feel that I'm going to tell you, I'll come up, whether it's in the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. But I want to thank all of you for the work that you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we welcome your input on that form if you feel like you want to give us some input. Anything else regarding the form?
I helped out at the Golden Gloves about 2-3 weeks ago. I helped out, and that reminds me of my boxing.
I'm sorry, you're out of order.
You're out of order. Okay.
Sorry to do that to you. we welcome the compliments. You're out of order. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Atkins, second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. This is an action item. Can I have a motion to table it?
So moved.
We have a motion to table it by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. It will be tabled and brought back. Okay, item 8. Item 8.
Item 8 is public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2009-044-S to allow a general retail use in an apartment zoning for 1.725 acres out of Block 29 of El Jardín subdivision located at 1965 Old Port Isabel Road.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, in this particular case, around the intersection of Dana Road and Old Port Isabel Road, applicant would like to have a pet grooming and a retail store that would sell pet supplies. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted to recommend this application to you for approval. As you can see there in the area.
You recommend approval?
Yes, they did.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Can we have anybody opposing it? Nobody's opposing it. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close.
We have
Second.
a motion to close by Commissioner Longoria. Can we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. This is an action item. Staff recommends to approve. Commissioner Longoria makes a motion to approve. Can I have a second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 9.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2010-001 to rezone from light retail G to medium retail G for 0.85 acres out of Lot 2 of Block 1 of El Chaparral Commercial Subdivision Number 1, located near Alton Glore Boulevard and Stagecoach Street.
In this particular case, Mayor, the property is already zoned retail, but they want a third commercial retail, which deals with the side yards. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you, and it's right next to that Stripes new store that they have at that intersection.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody opposing it? Staff recommends favor. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? Motion to close.
Second.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor to close?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action item.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.
Item 10, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2010-002-S to allow apartment G specific use in an apartment F for block number 9 of Olmito Gardens subdivision of tract number 1 located near FM 803 and Lomax Road.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, in this particular case, this is a specific use. There's an site plan in your packet. This is to allow apartments in this tract of land. The Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this application to you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody against this? Staff recommends approval.
Yes.
A motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Longoria, second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action item. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo. Can I have a second? Second by Commissioner Longoria. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 11.
Item 11, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2010-602-CU to allow a conditional use permit for sale of on-premise alcohol for lots 4 and southwest 15 feet of Block 6 of Rio Viejo subdivision located at 1335 Palm Boulevard.
Mayor, City Commissioners, the property shaded in red, it's on Palm. The applicant would like to sell wine with lunches, and this is the location right in front of that plaza on Palm Boulevard. The Plan and Zoning Commission Board has to approve.
What business is it?
Lola's Bakery, right next to Spank.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there any opposition to this? What is staff recommendation? Approve. Okay, there's no opposition, so can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Commissioner Atkinson. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Zamora, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Everybody was notified, so let's move on. Now, we're into the public comments. Ms. Perez, if you signed up for public comments, this is the appropriate time that you can say whatever you want within the guidelines. This is the public comment period. Now, we have
Mr. Roman Perez, Mr. Robert Uresti, Luke Garcia, and Dagoberto Barrera.
in that order. Mr. Perez. City Secretary, what's this note for?
I don't know what that is. I didn't get to.
Okay. Mr. Perez,
I know 3 minutes.
welcome to City Chambers.
I wanted to talk to you about action item number 28 in regards to the Allied Waste getting the contract for brush pickup. I'm only talking about it because I'm not guaranteed that the mayor is going to recognize me later on. I know that last December or last November, I want to say it was December, there was raising the rates of our garbage and brush pickup was going to be raised based on the CPI or the Consumer Price Index going up. They hadn't asked for a rate increase for a while. It looked to me as though many of you all didn't really like the fact that you were going to have to raise our rates because of this contract. The contract that is going to be before you in action item number 28 does allow for the CPI index to be used to increase our rates unilaterally because they want it. It also says in the contract that if for whatever reason the CPI goes down, our rates don't go down. They stay they stay the same, and I don't think that's really fair. You as a commission, or some of you as a commission for the last few years have not given a pay raise to city employees. I think I want to say 4 or 5 years. I don't believe it's fair that we as ratepayers or taxpayers get Allied Waste or any person who's getting this contract a raise every year based on the CPI when you do not give your city employees that kind of a rate increase. Tax rate going up or down, is beside the point. It's just, I hope that if you all were serious about this particular item not being in this particular contract, that you all would try to push for it or at least table the item so that maybe you all can go back to the negotiating table and negotiate this out in favor of not using CPI to go for our rates to go up automatically. Aside from that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the planning issue with regards to the payday loan. I'm not for or against the issue. I just am for proper use of city time. I argue that if, for example, your city attorney is going to put an item on the agenda, that he at least try to contact your planning and community development director. He at least attempt to put an item in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, which I believe is guaranteed under Chapter 215 of the Texas Local Government Code. I also believe that there should have been at least 15-day notice of this particular ordinance change in the newspaper before you went to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I don't believe any of this was done. If it wasn't done for whatever reason, maybe it was just oversight, maybe it was just a mistake, but maybe you should go back and make sure that these kinds of issues are done by your city attorney, by your staff, and it's just simple oversight. It's not me talking to that particular city staff for, well, did you do this? Why didn't you do this? It shouldn't have to be that way. It should just be done by our city commission as overseers of our tax dollars. And that's pretty much it for now. Thank you very much for at least trying to listen, or at least not just looking at your computer screen or looking at the sky, as some of you all tend to do when anybody comes up here and speaks. Thank you.
Mr. Uresti?
Roberto Uresti, 1220 Calle Pluton. First of all, I received this packet this afternoon at 4 o'clock. It is the census. I already filled it out. It only took me 2 minutes, and I'll mail it this afternoon. And I'd like to ask the public to turn it in, because this will help the city in revenues in the future. And it has up to 12 people. It doesn't take very long to answer any of those questions. They're very, very simple, and it will be very, very nice. I think the city is promoting count everyone in the city. The second issue I'm bringing up is the public library on Central Boulevard. I did speak to someone there, and a request was made because of the lighting conditions there at the library. It is extremely dark. Is PUB or the city putting energy efficient lighting in the outside the hallways? Because it's so dark you can fall down. Another concern was the park next to it. The Veterans Park is completely dark. You have two major lights facing from Central into the park. A lot of children in bicycles, parents are there. They like to use the park as a walkway to lose weight, to do exercises. Yet it's so dark. And then the monuments where all the veterans' names are there. Somebody can hide there, and you cannot even see the person. It's that dark. There's a lot of lamps that don't give enough lighting in that park. So it will be very, very good. I commend the individual. I won't name the person that brought this up. This issue is not a last month, 2 months. This issue is long overdue, over a year. This is not something that just came out of blue. So this issue has been brought up. It's been written up by this individual there. And I brought it up here to helping along, because I've seen a lot of children, even though they changed the daylight savings time, we need to help the public. And this is a nice park to walk. It's closer than the sports park. It's a residential area. And then we have an elderly village right behind it. They can come and use it. And that will be the nicest thing for them to see there and take time. So it will be very, very important that we expedite this issue about the lighting at the library. Not only at the library, but at the Veterans Park. I thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, welcome to our chambers, the People's Chambers.
Hello, my name is Lou Gracia, and I live on Vermilion Avenue here in Brownsville, and I receive my mail on Central Avenue here in Brownsville, where I'm the director of an after-school child care center. My husband and I have another small business named VTS, which is Valley Trophy Service, where we make various awards. I came before this commission on February 2nd asking for your help to table an item which I believe warranted further investigation due to some suspicious actions by the city's purchasing department. Again, I asked to table the item and not vote on the item until an investigation could be conducted. Instead of tabling the item, a very long and unorganized discussion took place, and I left this room without the help that I originally asked for from my city commission. I do wish to thank those 3 commissioners that did try and attempt to help me. Then I made an appointment and met with the mayor in his office to ask for his help a second time, which I did meet with the mayor. Today, the new ordinance brings new light, so I'm hoping maybe something can be done there. I've been watching the meetings that transpired since February 2nd, and on February 16th, one of the commissioners even laughed on camera, commenting about what took place regarding the February meeting agenda item, laughing about my request for help. It's not surprising that the February 2nd commission meeting video revealed at the end that that same commissioner seemed to personally be acquainted with the vendor on Morningside Road. As commissioners, you ran for public office, and you agreed to take the good and the bad that comes with it when it comes to public opinion and comments. Believe me, I wouldn't sit and where you are at all. I do not envy you, and I couldn't keep my mouth shut to do it. To constantly interrupt the public people who come forward and try to speak is a travesty of justice. I am not a recycled person, and none of these gentlemen who come here on a regular basis and spend their time in addition to you, I believe, are recycled people either, and I think that's rude. One of the commission's main complaints is that the public doesn't do its homework and check their facts before coming to the commission on the cameras. Well, guess what? I've done my homework. The Freedom of Information Act is a beautiful thing, and I'd like to share some stuff with you tonight that I've found. Through the Freedom of Information Act, I've obtained vital information such as one commissioner stated on camera that he had spoken with a competing vendor during the bid process. This is a violation of city policy, and I believe it's illegal. 2, that same commissioner raised his voice at me on several occasions during the meeting and attempted to belittle me for being a small business on camera. He compared me to a competing larger vendor and spoke openly regarding the volume of business with the City of Brownsville and the Brownsville Independent School District. I am a registered vendor for the school district and have never been discriminated or belittled by the Brownsville Independent School District. Perhaps the city's purchasing department should consult with BISD regarding its procurement process. 3, here is a list of 1,293 vendors that do business with the City of Brownsville, of which 203 are located here within the city. That larger vendor, who was compared to me so many times, is not even a registered vendor on your own records. Another trophy
You
vendor.
gonna let her keep talking after 3 minutes?
Another trophy vendor who was a former city
She's
commissioner.
just,
excuse me,
excuse me,
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gracia. She has a right to complain. She's not using names.
No, sir.
Is she out of order?
3 minutes are up.
Huh? I mean, she's within the guidelines, is she not?
She's within the guidelines.
Yeah, she's within the guidelines, Commissioner.
Stop
She's
my
not
3
using
minutes.
names, she's not
No,
making
give me
personal
time.
attacks.
But I think the time's up.
I'm talking about the 3
Nobody's
minutes.
talking about names, talking about time.
3 minutes
Okay.
already timed.
I didn't name any names, sir.
Did the bell ring?
Yes, it did.
I'm sorry, Lou, so you're okay.
Okay, well, I'll be back next time, and I'll be sure to show you everything else I discovered from the City of Brownsville.
Thank you for coming. Okay, Ms. Gracia, next is Mr. Barrera. I didn't hear the bell.
Again, my name is Dagoberto Barrera, and I just want to finish. A couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, I helped out at the Golden Gloves that they held the Golden Gloves for 3 days at the Gonzalez Park. And he brought me a lot of memories when I was a fighter. And it was a lot of people went, and Ms. Gracia tells me that they were successful in Fort Worth, that I used to go on the state tournaments. And I just want to help you, and if I can be of any help, since I hung them up, I'm talking about my job, I got the time to help in any way I can. If I believe in something, I'll put in my 2 cents and everything that I have to do it. I want to tell you that you people deserve something, because now, you know, you're working without any compensation at all, and you are doing a good job in serving our community. Whether it's pro or con, they like you, don't like you, it doesn't matter, but as long as you're here and hearing the rest of us, I want to thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dag. It's nice to get a compliment once in a while. That's it for public comments, and we have action item 13.
Item 13, consideration and action on change order number 1 for project number AD 1-38-0509, funded entirely with funds from the Federal Aviation Administration.
Mayor, members of the commission, the city commission is requested to approve change order number 1 to allow for the excavation of approximately 10,000 cubic yards of dirt at the south end of runway 1735 as shown on the illustration due to the existence of a runway protection zone problem being created by a berm adjacent to the city's north main drainage ditch inside of the airport. The cost to complete the work will be funded in its entirety with FAA funds. It is $42,000. The need to do this project and complete it immediately came as a result of the annual inspection by the FAA safety inspectors. I recommend approval.
Okay, we have a recommendation from staff to approve. This is an action item. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Zamora. Can I have a second? Second by Commissioner Gowan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 14.
Item 15, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2010-022.
No, you skipped 14.
15.
No, what he's saying, you skipped 14.
14, I'm sorry.
Right.
14, consideration and action on a lease with SRA Automotive for a portion of hangar number 7 of building number 16 at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Mayor, City Commissioners, we're requesting that you table this item till the next regular City Commission meeting. We need to do some fine tuning with regard to the
table.
location.
Motion to table, Commissioner.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 15.
Item 15, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2010-022, accepting a Federal Aviation Administration grant in the amount of $3,902,621.
Right. The City, Mayor and City Commissioners, the City Commissioners requested to accept the grant offer in the amount of $3,902,621 from the FAA. This acceptance should be in the form of approval of resolution number 2010-22 and should be subject to review and approval of the grant contract by the city manager, the city attorney, and myself. The funds will be used to rebuild the primary air carrier taxiways from the main runway to the passenger terminal as taxiways Delta and Echo. I recommend approval of the resolution.
Would approve. I don't think anybody's against getting free money. We have a motion by Commissioner Longoria. Second by Commissioner Gowan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 16.
Thank you.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to extend a professional consulting services contract on a month-to-month basis pending requests for proposals.
Mayor, City, members of the commission, we are requesting the contract with DOS Logistics be extended for a few months as we go out on proposals, RFQs to seek consultants or another consultant for the city of Brownsville.
We're going to be on a month-to-month basis?
Yeah, we already advertised on Sunday's paper. We should have everything ready to review April 9th and should have someone online by the first meeting in May.
So it'll be month-to-month, you're saying?
Yes, sir. For the DOS Logistics, yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Motion to extend.
Hold on a second, Mayor.
I would just ask one thing, that instead of having this indefinite, have a certain period of time, whether it's 60 days or 90 days, so this just isn't carried on in perpetuity. In other words, there's a certain.
Because my question,
We advertised in the paper for April 9th deadline to get any and all participants that want to participate as being consultants with the city of Brownsville. We'll open.
I think he himself has imposed a deadline, so I think that's good.
that's not
Commissioner
clear.
Tranny?
Like, I guess my concern is one, what would be the deadline for responses? And then two, what is the benefit of keeping them on month to month? And what kind of productivity are they going to have on a month to month when they know that they're being looked at to be replaced?
Well, right now, we have some crucial issues occurring in Washington in relation to any and all legislative agenda items that we have prepared and sat down with DOS Logistics. As we speak, we are interested in findings and in visiting Washington in the next month or so, hopefully to get successful outcomes in relations to airport bus projects and any and all legislative issues we have with them. As you know, DOS Logistics was hired on a one-year contract. We've just started a momentum phase with them where we have sat down with them, and some of our directors have already sat down with them and explained to them the needs we have and have created a bond. So right now we are trying to just keep them on pace until we get proposals and start working on identifying any and all interested parties to present to the commission.
When was the last time they've come before the city commission to make a presentation?
Never.
Who's that, ma'am?
Dos Logistics, when was the last
No.
time they've been here?
From what I recall, I don't remember the last time they came.
And how long have we had a contract with them and they haven't
1
been
year,
here?
at the end of February.
Excuse me, may I say something? We have never requested, or the city commission has never requested for a presentation to be made, but they were ready anytime that we would ask them.
Yeah, okay, but Pete, have we received any kind of reporting from them?
Yes.
There's a report sent to the city manager on a monthly basis.
When does it come, once a month?
They report to us, they report to us in writing once a month.
Okay, and have you shared those reports with the commission?
Well, a lot, they're very lengthy in size. The commission's welcome to come see them anytime they want. They're in our offices.
I have a question. Okay. Mr. Cavalier, we've been in contract, or we haven't even had our first year with those logistics. I don't know if any other members of the commission have traveled with them. I have. I traveled with them last summer to Washington, D.C., and they did a very good job.
Right.
Because of this good job that they've done, why is it that we as a city council are going out again for RFQs? Is it at somebody's request, or is this at a staff's request that we go out for RFQs?
The commission, when we went out on proposals approximately a year ago, voted to give them a 1-year contract to see how they would perform.
Okay.
The concerns we have is that we need to stabilize this and have someone working with us more than just 1 year, because we get into the legislative hearings, et cetera. We can't just pull someone out and start going out on proposals again. We need to have consistency. We need to show that we have loyalty and that we're going to work with them for a certain period of time. So when we go out on the proposals again, which we have already advertised, one of the things we want to be able to have within the contract is to be able to extend contracts with them. And also what we'll have within the contract is for them to submit and present quarterly to the commission.
Sounds reasonable.
When we tried to do that this time, we had some issues because of the competitive nature of consultants, so we chose not to have them do a presentation today or in the prior few past.
It's fair.
Okay, so the concern here is that the contract has ended. Because it's ended, we must go out for RFPs.
Which we already have advertised
I
for,
know,
yes.
I mean, that's why.
Mayor, may I have the floor?
Yes, Steve?
May I have the floor? Charlie, I get two things. One of my concerns is that when we do the year-to-year, it seems like in the past past year, 2 years, the contract has come up the same time that the city is getting ready to go to Washington.
Exactly.
That can't happen. And maybe we don't look at the calendars, but that is an issue, and I totally agree. And we need to hopefully at this point keep that from happening, or do it 6 months prior to the DC trip. I guess one of the other concerns that I had is, again, I realize that the commission has not asked for our consultants to come before the commission and present. I'm not too sure what contact 2 months prior, had the consultants met with the directors. I think that too is very important, that our consultants are not only communicating with yourself, but with the directors to help push our agenda. And I guess one of the other concerns I had is the communication with the commission, because the last time that I went to Washington, they were helpful in setting up a couple of meetings, but I never met anyone from Dos Logistics. To this day, I can't put a face to who the reps are, or who their folks are. And that wasn't years ago with previous consultants. You know who they were, and you'd see them, and you can talk to them over the phone or via email. And in this case, it's been, I know I haven't had that. And I guess the last thing I wanted to say is, I know we have a legislative packet that's already prepared, and I think you all did a good job on that. I would recommend that in the future that the commission be invited to participate. I know it's one thing to have the staff that deals the day-to-day business and yourself, and that's one side of it. I think the other side is what the commission and the mayor gets in terms of feedback from people. And I think if we can kind of blend both of those sides in, the staff's perspective as well as the community perspective, I think then we can have a solid packet that addresses both issues. And it's not to say that any of the issues that are in the packet aren't worthy or shouldn't be considered. They all should. They're all very good.
Before we created the legislative package, which ends with a narrative to John Cornyn, is DOS Logistics, and we do have a representative from DOS Logistics here in the audience, by the way. But we sat down with all the directors in preparing that. DOS Logistics has met all our directors, including our key directors that have key issues to address in Washington. So that's been done. My apologies for not inviting the commission. That's done. I sent copies of the report to all the legislative report. If you want copies of this, we'll put it on your desk, Mayor. It's easy for you. But it's a huge monthly report. It's gonna take 400 or 500 pages.
A synopsis from you as to what it's the meat of it to the commissioners, what they're working on would be nice.
And we're working to refine that you know, people seem to think that we've had lobbyists or consultants in the city for a long time. And this is a new thing for the city. So we're working on refining that as well. And we will have quarterly reports to the commission as a mandate within the materials that's submitted to the future lobbyists, whoever that may be.
Dr. Gowan wants to say something.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Camarillo that the commission should have input into your report or into the legislative agenda, because that's part of what we do, is listen to the people out in the community and have different interests of our own. I also think that I hope there are benchmarks for lobbyists that we should be looking at to decide whether or not this particular firm or XYZ particular firm is performing to our best interests, and not just that they were nice or you know, whatever. Particularly concerning is what Commissioner Camarillo said, which was that he really didn't know who was the agent when he went to Washington. I think that's one of their big roles, is to take us to the people that we need to see, and not alone.
We'll work on that.
See, what I would like to see, Charlie, well, it really is a moot issue because we're going out to RFPs and we're going to have presentations. But what I would like to see is a report, a synopsis stating, you know, this quarter or this month, we met with Senator Cornyn, we met with Senator Hutchinson, we met with Congressman Ortiz, and took up infrastructure needs. We took up city's needs, you know. Instead of us writing the check every month for $15,000, whatever it is, we don't know what we're getting for it. You know, it'd be nice if we knew that they were earning those $15,000 by contacting.
I'll go back through the year that they worked, and I'll do that for you, Mayor, and I'll submit it to
There's
you.
no need, I mean, I'm just saying that's what would be nice for us, that we know they're contacting and representing us on needs of our community.
A good benchmark is the county. They provide regular reports at their meetings on their
I'm sorry?
agendas. The county, and they're
Yes.
here, David Garcia does a regular report to the county commissioners
People
on
that
what their
they do-
agenda.
I think they have DOS, right? They use DOS Logistics.
Anyway, we're going out for
Let me ask a
RFPs,
question.
and there'll be presentations.
Let me ask a question.
The city manager requested this be
Mayor.
done on month to month.
Can I ask a question real quick? Sure. I just want to ask you real quick, when is the next legislative agenda in Washington? When is it?
We haven't confirmed the meeting date.
Okay,
We will
but is
have a
it
meeting
coming
date.
up?
Yes.
So,
PUB is April.
within the next 30 days, 40
Yes.
days?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to let them carry this out through and see what they do for us this time around.
It's vital that we have someone there.
Yes.
Can we amend this to include a 60-day turnaround time, that we should have everything done and either stay with them or change or whatever else? And, I mean, I don't want to keep this open-ended.
60 days is what I anticipate we need. So yes,
That sounds good to me.
if it gets longer.
And if they,
Go back.
you know, get us millions and billions of dollars, then we'll keep them.
Okay, you want to make that into a motion, Commissioner Tranny?
Sure. If we can,
If they get us millions and millions, I'll keep them.
you'll keep them.
Yes.
We can all keep them.
Motion to approve with the 60-day cap?
Second.
Okay.
I had a comment.
Commissioner Longoria?
Last year, when we went to Washington, DOS Logistics was a new firm to the city.
Yes, sir.
And in my opinion, the job that they did was a fairly good job. we stayed focused. We remained on what the city needed. Pete, Larry, Ben, we went in and we focused and we stayed true to what was said. We met with key people, maybe with the exception of Kay Bailey Hutchison, but we did meet in the other offices with key people that we needed to meet with. And I believe that for the short time that we had been with them, that they did fairly well. Now, to respect the decision that we had for a one-year contract and then go out, you know, it's fine. But I think that we need to clearly define what it is that we're doing. I don't want to be going to Washington within the next month and a half with a firm that, you know, is going to be concentrating on, am I going to keep my contract with you, or am I here to take care of business and get you to the right people that I need to get you to? But, you know, maybe the decision that we made back then at you know, to keeping it to a year might have been a bad one. But I'm afraid that kind of damages relationships, especially with those logistics. Whether the focus is going to be, am I going to keep your contract, you know, or what's going to happen on this
I think
trip?
our relationship with them now is better than it's ever been. To speak on that, they're here. If you want to speak to them in person, I don't believe that the momentum that we have right now is going to suffer. They understand we have a one-year contract with them, and we fulfill that. And we just want to make sure that we continue to work with them as we go out on these proposals.
I assume they're professionals, Charlie. I wouldn't worry about if they get their feelings hurt or not. They're professionals.
No, I'm getting my feelings hurt right now.
They're going to deliver. They're going to do their job. They're going to do the job. Who's here from those logistics? Who's here?
Ms. Thompson?
Would you please stand up? And your name? Thompson, she said?
Thompson.
Thompson. Thank you for coming. You want to say anything? Do you want to say anything? Would you please come to the podium and for the record, state your name, Ms. Thompson?
I'm Denisha Thompson. We're looking to put together a trip to go to DC after Easter. So I think it's like either the week of the 13th through the 15th or the week after that. So that's our next. We're working on.
Who are the principals in those logistics?
My boss is Guma Ibarra. And
Can you get closer to the mic? Because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
My boss is Guma Ibarra, and our president is his son, Eric Ibarra.
Any questions?
At this point, if we want to add something to the legislative trip, is that possible?
Oh, yeah, we haven't set the actual agenda. We've just been tossing around ideas of who needs to go and what we want to talk about. Yeah. And so, yeah, we can actually modify it up to the day that we're there.
I'd like to see y'all work with our chamber. They develop a legislative package for the city also, and it usually coincides with what we're doing.
That's part of the package.
Yeah, because I mean, it's important that we're all on the same page. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Thompson. There was a motion to approve this with a cap of 60 days. We'll have presentations in response to the RFPs at that time. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 17.
Thank you.
Item 17, consideration and action regarding resolution number 2010-025 in support of the construction of the East Loop and dealing with related matters.
Mayor, members of the commission, I've asked Pete Sepulveda from the county administrator's office to address the issue.
Mr. Sepulveda, welcome to our chambers.
Mayor and Commissioners, for the record, my name is Pete Sepulveda, and I'm here in my capacity as the coordinator for the Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority. In the next couple of months, we're going to be submitting an application for funding under the pass-through financing program that the Texas Department of Transportation has. However, one of the requirements for an application to be considered is that the project has to be on the state highway system. Currently, because there is no project, it's not on the TxDOT system. But we go back 6-8 years. There's been an agreement, a verbal agreement between the city, the county, and TxDOT that once the East Loop is constructed and operational, the county would assume responsibility for the maintenance of a portion of Dockberry Road, and the city would assume responsibility for the maintenance of Central Boulevard all the way to Elizabeth, hitting Palm Boulevard. TxDOT will not add any additional miles to their highway system. So the idea here is, and I believe the East Loop, depending on the final alternative, is going to be about 8 to 9 miles. And so we must take 8 or 9 miles out of the highway system to be able to accommodate the East Loop. If the commission is in agreement with this, the county already passed a resolution. We will submit our funding application in mid-May. If we are funded, and when the project is operational, then, like I said earlier, the county would assume responsibility for maintenance on Dockberry Road, and the city will take over Central Boulevard. This, like I said, it's been a verbal agreement between the three entities for at least 6 or 7 years. If this resolution is approved by the city, TxDOT District Office will go ahead and submit a minute order that will be on the Highway Commission meeting for the April meeting. So the idea is to have that in place so that by the time we submit the application for funding in mid-May, we won't be denied the opportunity to compete for funds in the pass-through financing program.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Can I have a motion before we open up to questions?
A motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Atkinson to approve. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. Any questions? Any discussion?
Mayor, I do.
Commissioner
Pete,
Camarillo is
quick
recognized.
question. The Central Boulevard to US 281 to Palm, Elizabeth, and Washington, do we know what that equates to? I mean, financially? What TxDOT is going to take away from themselves and now we're going to now encumber that? Do we know, in terms of costs that they've done over the past couple of years or on a yearly basis, what it takes to maintain those, if any?
I can't give you an exact number right now, but what I can tell you, and we've had the discussion with TxDOT, is that before the city assumes responsibility of the maintenance, TxDOT will overlay it. And so it will be in maybe not similar condition as the East Loop, because the East Loop will be a brand-new road, but it'll be overlaid to where your maintenance over a number of years, and overlay probably is good for about, based on the level of traffic on Central, probably a good 4 or 5 years. So, but we can, you know, if it's 4 or 5 miles, you know, you're probably looking at about $30,000, $40,000 annually for maintenance.
Okay. But they will overlay it?
Yes.
Before the end of, okay.
Yes.
Let me ask something real quick. You keep mentioning Central Boulevard. That's West Loop, isn't it?
I couldn't
Isn't
hear
that West Loop? Isn't the East Loop going from Veterans to the Port of Brownsville to 511? That's the East Loop.
No, we're talking about, yes.
Right? The East Loop's from
The East Loop is
coming
from-
off the expressway, taking a left on 511, coming around to Veterans Bridge. That's the East Loop we're talking about. Where? Am I right?
Commissioner,
Central
what-
Boulevard and 281. That's more of a West Loop
What
thing.
he's discussing is that we have to take over, in other words, Central Boulevard will become a city street now.
Right.
And we're responsible for the maintenance because they're taking on an additional 8 to 9 miles on the East
On
Loop.
the East Loop.
Oh, okay.
So we have.
Mitigating.
It's an exchange, you know, TxDOT will not add any additional miles to their system. And so the only way to accomplish this is to take out the same amount of mileage, and that's why we're splitting between county and city. And if we don't do this, then we're not going to be able to compete for the funding statewide. Now, we submitted an application previously, and again, it was kicked out last year because of this technicality, even though we had a verbal agreement with the district office at TxDOT. So this year, we want to make sure, because last year when we submitted the application, we were told that we competed very well statewide with other projects. So we're hoping that this time around, we will get funding for the East Loop. If we do, we're probably about 12 months away from getting environmental clearance. And if that's the case, then we're probably about 18, 24 months from, or we can be 18, 24 months from construction start date.
Pete, when you
That's
were
jobs here too.
Pete, when you were looking at this list, are these least, the least cost,
Yes,
the
we
lower
had,
amount of cost the maintenance
yeah,
to
and
keep
we
up?
go back to when Larry Brown was the director of planning. But we worked with Larry, and I do not remember who the public works director was at that time. We worked with Mark Lunn at the MPO, and then at the city, at the county level with the county engineer's office. But we had a lot of meetings with TxDOT in determining which roads. Again, you got to get to the exact amount of mileage that TxDOT is adding that they have to delete. So It took us a number of years to come up with the portions of the roads that we're going to be assuming responsibility for.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item number 18, consideration and action to adopt an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Brownsville and the Cameron County to provide the city's cost share for the installation of a traffic signal in front of Veterans Memorial High School in the amount of $29,604.31.
Mayor and Commissioners, again, my name is Pete Sepulveda. I'm here in my capacity as County Administrator for Cameron County. We have discussed at the MPO level, of which the city, county, and BISD are members of, the need for a traffic signal light at the entrance of the new high school. I believe there's been at least one fatality already. And so the idea here is to split the cost of the labor and equipment. TxDOT will come in and provide the materials necessary. And what we're going to do is add a turning lane, basically. And once we add that turning lane, TxDOT will come in and construct a traffic signal light at that intersection. We were hoping, I believe that the school will be open for employees either in April or May. So we're not going to be able to meet that time frame, but we should be able to meet the time frame by the time the school is opened.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Would approve.
A motion approved by Commissioner Zamora. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 19, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2010-021, expressing official intent to reimburse costs incurred to relocate rail lines in the downtown area to the city, generally known as the West Rail Project, construct street and drainage improvements, and acquire rights-of-way for highway improvements being funded in part by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this resolution is just authorizing us, in case we're going to be spending money on some of these projects, which is the West Rail, as well as acquiring some right-of-way or selling some right-of-way acquisition on the 511, and also for street improvements that will be done in the future. So far to date, on the West Rail that the city has spent, and by the way, there is a PowerPoint handout in case you cannot see the numbers clearly on that I had passed out earlier. And if we can look on number 2, slide number 2, you'll see that the city so far has spent $2,103,540 for the West Rail project. We need approximately about $1.9 million to complete the project. Initially, what happened several years ago, the city had planned to build an overpass connecting the Amigo Land. And at that time, when they were going to construct the overpass, it was taken to the public. There was opposition from the public that they didn't want an overpass in their community. So, and we had borrowed about $2 million at that time to construct. It was our local share. It was later decided that maybe the best bet was to relocate the rail that was in the downtown area and move it to the west side and to the west side of town. And this is what this project is. Now, but it's going to take a little more money to, I know that Mr. Sepulveda can probably add more to it because the project is, it's a major project that's going to cost many millions of dollars to complete. But our share is going to be approximately $4 million, and we need about $2 million from our share. So that's part of the reimbursement resolution that we're asking. And we're also asking for about $600,000 for right-of-way acquisition on 511. Now, this is going to be through issuance of certificates of obligation. We have two choices. Either we get out of the general fund reserve, which we don't recommend. This is a 20-year project to pay back. by borrowing these funds. And so we are, tonight, all you're doing is approving a reimbursement resolution for in the future when we issue certificates of obligation, and we have already spent some of this money from the general fund. The general fund can get reimbursed.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Hold on.
I have a question.
Well, can I have a motion, then we'll open up for discussion? Can I have a motion? Get a motion?
Motion to table.
Do you want to table it?
Well, I don't want to motion to approve without asking the questions that we need to ask, so I got a motion something.
I'll second that, motion table.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, comment.
Pete, my concern is this. We heard Mark talk about the MPO and that they've approved they've given, they've agreed to support the West Loop, West Parkway tollway deal. If we set these monies aside to move these tracks, are any of those funds, that $4 million that the city has to come up with, is that to improve the existing, well, once they're moved, to do any improvements to where the tracks are currently at, or my concern is that these monies go to help support the West Loop, which the city said we don't want to support, we don't like. Yet this is something that they may want to continue to push forward. And so I just want to know if any of those $4 million, any of these funds are going to go towards supporting that project.
This is strictly for the West Rail project.
To move the tracks, correct?
To complete the construction of the, actually, Mr. Sepulveda, maybe you can add to it. He's, thank you.
That's correct. This is strictly, we're talking the West Rail relocation project. And so any funds would be for the relocation of the rail lines and the construction of the new international rail bridge. The West Parkway project is a totally different project. We're strictly talking the rail relocation project. And obviously, y'all were talking about professional consultants earlier. We're looking at about a $35 million project, and county staff has been able to acquire about $30 million in federal funds or state funds for this project. One of them, and Pete mentioned that y'all had the PowerPoint. One of the slides in there, about a year and a half ago, we competed nationwide for grant money from the Federal Railway Administration, and Cameron County West Rail Project was the project that was funded the most with grant money, which was $4 million. Pete mentioned that in the late 90s, TxDOT, the city, had a overpass project over 6th and 7th Street, and that project basically did not materialize, and that's how this project evolved. But I want to make a point in that if the city would have chosen the route of building overpasses over major arterials, for example, 802, Alton Glore, or Military Highway, your local share would have been much higher than the $4 million that you're going to be investing in the West Rail project. Just counting probably about 4 or 5 of those overpasses of a total of 9 that are needed, your local share would have already been $28 million. And so the idea in getting the federal funds is to minimize the local participation. And again, between now, and we won't have final numbers until we actually bid out the project and we have a bid, but statewide, the bids have been coming in, 22% under the budget. So if that's the case, then the local participation will be much, much lower.
I got a question.
Commissioner Atkinson.
Pete, I've talked to you many times about this, and it's hard for me. You're saying we might have to go out for bonds, Pete Gonzalez, to give $4 million. You're going to get
$2 million. This is what this is. This is a reimbursement resolution.
And this is what I have.
Right.
And this is how I feel about it. We're going to go out for bond and ask the taxpayers we're going to ask to raise their taxes for this money from Brownsville. This $4 million that we have to pay into getting these tracks out. The tracks are going to be out. Yes, we want the rail to be moved out of there. I totally agree with that. But then here comes that land. What I'm talking to Mark Stassi about is that land, those tracks. How can the city get their money back that they're investing? Are we gonna have any ownership at the Restwell Bridge? From what I'm told, we're gonna put $4 million into moving these tracks for a private company, UP Rail, that's gonna own the whole bridge. Isn't there something there? Plus, it's inside city limits now, where before it wasn't. Is the city being safeguarded in a way where we generate revenues back from that Restwell? We're gonna put all this taxpayer money into it to give it to a private owner later. That's what I see, and I have a problem with that because, and then once you take off the tracks, then here comes a Rest Parkway, who's going to be a toll street on all this property. Does it belong to the city or does it belong to UP? Who does it belong to? I mean, those are the questions that we need to ask because we all want the rail to move to the west side and out of our city, but at what cost? So how can we generate those $4 million back through charging fees at that new rail bridge, or by B&M Bridge, which now, from what I've been told, the 100-year permit's gone. So is the city of Brownsville now going to have to go after owning B&M Bridge so we can get those revenues back? How is the city being safeguarded in the next 15 years? I just don't see myself putting $4 million into something where the city of Brownsville, yes, we get the rails out of there, but here comes, it's like we're going to give it to a private owner. I don't know if the taxpayers would agree on going out for bond to hand over this West Rail Bridge to UP Rail. I mean, where does the city come back and generate money? And can something be negotiated that if we do give those $4 million, that B&M Bridge gets converted to a city-owned bridge, which it should have been a long time ago. I don't know why we didn't take it, the sins of our fathers, but why can we not come back and generate revenues at that bridge for the city of Brownsville? It just seems like the city's being overpassed all the time, and who's gonna look after Brownsville once we go out for bond and move these the rails?
We're mixing up all the issues here, but please respond.
Well, Commissioner, this decision was made several years ago by previous city commissioners, whereby they agreed to go ahead and pay for that relocation of that railroad track out of the downtown area.
And the value is that we're taking out the bottleneck that's caused.
We don't have the problems that we had in the past from.
Exactly. And the safety, also safety problem.
That was the idea, so.
And it improves the overall, it beautifies the city. Not to have the railroad yard right there or the tracks there.
And we have already spent $2 million. We're lacking two more.
And then it opens it up for the West Parkway or bicycle trails or whatever. It opens it up for that.
I totally see your point, and I know why they need to be out of there, but what is the city doing to safeguard future revenues from the B&M Bridge or from the Restwell Bridge? I mean, is UP gonna just say, hey, City of Brownsville, this is our bridge, we can charge whatever we want to charge, or what?
Yeah, from day one, I mean, UP made it very clear that they were going to be the owners of the West Rail Bridge, and we understood that. The project was being done because out of 254 counties in the state, Cameron County is ranked number 8 in auto train collisions. We have 14 at-grade intersections between the Olmito Switchyard and the B&M Bridge that on a daily basis carry over 500,000 vehicles. Train today goes through the downtown area of Brownsville, it goes through residential areas, it goes through commercial areas, it goes through parks. If the city decided 10 years ago that they were going to pursue constructing overpasses as opposed to taking the rail out, as I mentioned earlier, your share would have been about $28 million. Whether you do overpasses or you take the rail out, in 1970, the population of the city of Brownsville was 50,000. In the year 2010, it's probably going to be 200,000. The projection for the year 2030 is 500,000. The projection for the year 2050 is 800,000. So regardless of which route we go something has to be done because the population growth that the city is going to experience over the next 20 years is just, you know, out of this world. And so it's a quality of life project. You're not going to be gaining anything from the West Rail itself in terms of any tolls, because no tolls will be collected. But today, industry is constrained in when train traffic can go into Mexico because of the congestion problems in Brownsville and especially in Matamoros. With a new rail crossing, which this will be the first international rail bridge between the U.S. and Mexico in over 105 years. With a new crossing, will allow industry in the Brownsville area to be able to ship their goods more frequently by train than when they do today.
And safer.
And a lot safer. According to Union Pacific and the Mexican Railroad Company, which is Kansas City, Southern Mexico, the trip between Brownsville and Monterey is going to be cut by about an hour and a half. And so that's a huge savings for industry. That's a huge savings for the train operators in Mexico and in the U.S.
But for derailments
And obviously
stuff like
that's a good marketing tool that BDC, and especially the Port of Brownsville, which will be a big benefactor of this project, and that if we're able to send trains more frequently and not have any at-grade intersections, you know, it'll be a lot safer. And so, yes, it's an investment the city is making, but at some point, the investment was either in taking the rail out or building overpasses. And 8-9 years ago, the decision between the county, the city, and TxDOT was that we will relocate the rail out of the city of Brownsville and take it from an urban area to a rural area.
It'll make it easier
Now,
to develop the Midland area.
Yeah, the ownership of the B&M Bridge, that's a totally separate subject from this project. I do know that the concession on the Mexican side expired back in September. It was a 100-year concession that they had. Now, if on the U.S. side there's any ownership issues between the city of Brownsville and Union Pacific, then that's something that needs to be looked at. I'm not familiar with that. But that can be done concurrently and independently of this project. And if the city has documents to prove that the city donated that right-of-way to Union Pacific and there are reverted clauses, well then, you know, it is what it is, and your case is strong.
This is a positive thing. I'd like to move on and get a motion to approve in a second. It's going to improve the streets, the drainage, safety, overall quality of life here.
I think there's a motion to table that's pending.
Well, I would like to continue, just to make everybody understand what we have done in the past and what we're going to be continuing. If you recall, we have already spent some of these funds that were approved by a reimbursement resolution going back to March 3rd, 2009. We have already spent $2.2 million with the understanding that we were going to issue certificates of obligation. Now, this has already been spent. If we don't issue certificates of obligation, we're going to have to go in and get this from the fund balance. So that means our fund balance is going to be reduced by $2.2 million. That's what we've already spent, and that's something that we needed way back then. We needed some police vehicles. We've already purchased the police vehicles, 903,000. Landfill project, we needed just some traffic lift truck. We also needed an ambulance. All these monies have already been spent. We were authorized way back in March of 2009 to spend out of the general fund and get reimbursed with certificates of obligation. The certificates of obligation have not been issued. So if they're not issued, like I said earlier, general fund will now not get reimbursed and we're going to hit the fund balance. We have other needs in the community because we always hear people or citizens complain about certain things that we need to get things done, and we just don't have the reserves or the revenues to do some of the projects. So the only thing we look at is we borrow money. We look at a 20-year, 5-year payback. This is the list that we have right now for certificates of obligation for this coming year. We have the police vehicles, which we've already spent, landfill, which we've already spent, traffic, which we've already spent, ambulances. The only thing that's not added here, obviously, is the library has problems with roof, the West Rail project, the 2 million, the 511 right-of-way, and then we were going to add 5 million for streets, because obviously there's a lot of needs for construction of streets. This is something that we were planning, I was planning to bring to you at a later date. And really, that's it, so.
Thank you, Pete. We got to look at the big picture. We're committed towards this project based on decisions made prior. There are positive effects because of it. I think if we do not pass this, this is sending the wrong message to TxDOT. It's sending the wrong message to our bond rating agencies, because we're going to be eating our reserves. We got to pay this money. So can I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
I think there was already a motion to
No,
table.
I had not called for a motion. I'm calling for a motion now.
For
But
to
you
table,
asked for a
because
mo-
you asked for a
you
motion to
asked for a motion
table,
at the
remember?
beginning to open the discussion.
You have a motion to table then? Did we have a second?
Yeah.
Did we have a second?
There was
Yeah.
a second.
Yes.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor to, well, any further discussion? Any, all in favor? To table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to amend the motion. Is there any way we could table the amount requested for the West Rail and approve the COs for the projects that we've
Okay.
already expended? Because that's lumped in here, isn't it?
Yeah, we are not asking you to approve to issue certificates of obligation. All we're telling you is that this is coming up in the near future, probably next month. What I was saying is that we're requesting for you to authorize us to get $2 million reimbursement resolution for the West Rail, $2 million. That's all this item is for.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion
Disregard.
second.
Voting on the motion to table.
We have
at
a
this point.
motion second. All in favor to table?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Whose name?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Commissioner Longoria?
Aye.
Melissa,
You're
To
with-
table.
To table? Okay. So is table prevailed?
So
Get the
only-
money from the fund balance then.
Only the mayor and Commissioner Zamora? To
The-
table,
the
to,
motion
our
table passed, Commissioner Camarillo, Longoria, Atkinson, and Triani.
Well,
Voted to table.
we want to make sure we understand, if there are some invoices that are
Why don't you
submitted
get
to
it all
the,
together and we'll look at it all?
there's invoices submitted for the West Rail project, we will not pay those invoices.
I understood you. We got to reimburse, we got to pay for that. It's already committed. It's done.
As long as
It's
we all
done.
understand that, we will
I
not
understand
pay.
that.
But
I'll
we still
retract
got
my
another,
motion. I'll
Wait
retract
a
my
second.
motion.
Committed guy.
I'll retract my motion.
Okay, we have a motion to reconsider then? Okay, so it fails. Can we have a motion to pass?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Zamora.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think it's the right thing. Thank you, Pete. It passes. I assume Commissioner Camarillo,
I'm going to vote nay.
Atkinson, and Triani's nay?
My vote remains the same. I'd like to see everything at one time instead of getting hodgepodged.
We have 2 nays, 3 nays, okay? But it did pass.
The reason why I bring this up, because this is coming up in the very near future, and I don't want to up here and say, well, you never told us about
I
this.
understand. Thank you.
I'd like for you all to go back too and find out, once they remove those rails, all that land that's all over Brownsville where these tracks are, if they belong to the city or they belong to UP. I want to know that. I need to know that answer for the sake of the citizens of Brownsville who think we own all this land.
The state owns it.
How do you know
Item
that?
20,
How do you know that, Mayor?
because that's what I was told at MPO.
Oh, you were told that. I want to see proof.
Pete, you want to comment on who
I
owns
don't
that
know
land
about-
it reverts
This
to?
is not, I don't know.
Very brief.
I've asked Pete Zabula for that information, and he's supposed to
Very
be
brief.
getting
Let
it.
him
So.
address it real quick.
Our lawyer's looking at it too.
The rail line itself, Mayor, the rail track, there are deeds. That right-of-way is owned by Union Pacific. Where the bridge itself is at, I don't know. City attorney mentioned that there were agreements between city and Bay and M Bridge Company when the city donated that property in the 1920s. I'm not sure the bridge was operational in 1907, so I don't know if after the bridge had been operational for 10, 15 years, if the city donated additional right-of-way for customs or border protection. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you for the right-of-way, for the rail track itself, there are deeds. As I mentioned earlier, I know the concession on the Mexican side, you know, I have a copy of that concession. That expired last September.
But the land where the rails are coming from Olmito down this way.
The track is Union Pacific,
Yeah,
and there are deeds.
But doesn't that revert to the state?
That goes to the state, yes.
That was my understanding.
If you're talking about where the bridge itself is at, I don't know.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about.
Yeah, but we found information that the city does have deeds to stuff around.
That's
B&M
over
Bridge.
there, separate issue.
Mr. Mayor, we're in the process of reviewing those old documents. There were a series of agreements between the city of Brownsville, Union Pacific, and even the railroads that came before Union Pacific relating to 100-year easement agreements. And the 100 years had expired. We're in the process of plotting where those rail lines are.
Okay.
And we'll have a report to the city commission within the next several weeks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Next item, item 21.
Item 20. Item 20.
21?
Consideration and action.
Okay, 20.
Regarding resolution number 2010-023 to amend the general fund budget to provide $130,000 funding for the Impala Drainage Project, $70,000 for a traffic signal, $29,604 for the city's share of a traffic signal in front of Veterans Memorial High School, $40,000 for litigation-related expenses, and $50,000 for unemployment insurance costs.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, these are budget amendments that we need. Earlier, you approved the traffic signal for Memorial High School. That's $29,600. There are problems with the Impala drainage for about $130,000 that we need to spend. Unemployment insurance, $50,000. Traffic signal maintenance, $70,000. Total, $319,604. Let me give me a review of what has happened so far this year with budget amendments. I'm not going to go into it so far. This is we have the revenues on one side and the expenses side. Most of them are grants. The only amount that we've so far, the City Commission has approved is $887,300. At the beginning of the year, when we set up the budget, we had $87,740,000 in revenues and $87,740 in expenses. As you can see there, we have the $3 million from the PUB for economic assistance. It was balanced. The budget was balanced at the beginning of the year. So far, based on some of the budget amendments that have been approved by the City Commission, they're in the middle, which has budget amendments 2010 that has affected the fund balance so far this year, where the United Brownsville, $25,000. We transferred $500,000 to the airport fund, and then just recently we had a budget amendment for the Lowell's Home Center infrastructure improvements. So far, we had got into the reserves for $887,300. If you look at that schedule, the fund balance at the beginning of the year, unaudited, $17 million plus. Budget revenues, $90,085,462. We have expenditures of $92,665,714. We estimate the fund balance at September 2010 of $14,450,000, which is about 15.6% of reserves. With the changes that we're asking you tonight, which includes the Impala Drainage Project for $130,000, a traffic signal upgrade, and this is for Coffee Port and Old Port Isabel Road, $70,000, Veterans Memorial High School traffic signal, $29,604. And then you have the unemployment insurance cost, $50,000. If you approve the budget amendments tonight, then the expenditures are going to be now $92,985,318, which now leaves a fund balance, an estimated fund balance of 14.1. This schedule shows the other changes that we are not, we know that there's going to be a shortfall. We, based on the sales tax so far this year, we are seeing a shortfall of 2.3 million. And then we also have the crossings at Veterans Bridge have reduced, so there's a revenue shortfall of 373,000. We did receive the 1.5 million from PUB. So with this is just estimates as far as revenue shortfalls.
What about the 3 million, Pete? The 3 million.
The 3 million is already included in this schedule right there. It's already there. It's part of the fund balance.
You called it economics.
Yes, which I covered already. So right now, this is just, again, estimated projections. We're down to $12.8 million from the 17 million, okay?
So 13.8 compared to 15.6.
Okay, then this gives you another, this is just the history of the last 4 years. In 2007, our fund balance in the general fund was 17.6 million. We had an increase in 2008. We had a good year in 2008. We increased 973,627. 2009, which these are unaudited numbers, we dropped 1.5 million. 2010, estimated, we could drop between $3 million and $4 million. And this are the backup for some of the sales tax. Last year we had a decrease, and that's the reason why we see a decrease in the fund balance. Our sales tax dropped 5.5%. How are we doing this year? Well, we're not doing well. We're down 8.52 actual, 9.33 budget. What does that do to the budget? At the very the end, towards the right bottom, we show a budget shortfall of $2,372,000. If you look at that schedule called over/under 2010 budget, we started the year bad, 301,000 under, 358 under, 77,000. Then we saw a plus in January of 21,000. We assumed that things were going to get better, but we just got our allocation or the check or the distribution in March. We recorded in February. We saw a decline of 14.4%. It's anybody's guess. Is this going to continue? Well, if we assume that we will have a 9.33% decrease between now and the end of the year, we're going to have a budget shortfall in sales tax of $2.3 million. And this is just another example of our sales taxes. We had strong years. We're not seeing that anymore. Again, we're looking at the, in the past I've shown you charts of the 1982 recession, the 94 recession, and now we're looking at the recession of fall of 2008, which is fiscal year 2009. Bridge fund, this is another example, the crossings at Veterans Bridge. 2006 was a very strong year. But look at this chart, how declines in revenues from the bridge, and again, this is another area that we're facing. Anyway, I hate to bring you bad news, but that's the way it is.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that, Pete. We just encourage people to fly Brownsville first, shop Brownsville first, eat Brownsville first, and spend your money in Brownsville instead of going to McAllen or someplace else like many people do. Okay, any questions? Thank you. Thank you,
Again, we
Pete.
recommend that you approve the budget amendment.
Thank you. This is an action item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Zamora, second by Commissioner Longoria. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 21. Item 21.
Item 21, consideration and action to fund the city's cost share of the Valley Air Care Project in the amount of $27,428.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is the Brownsville share of the Valley Air Care Project. I have before me Mr. Bill Ashton and Rene Perez with South Texas Emergency Care Foundation here to explain the project in case you had any questions. Bill?
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for hearing our presentation. Of course, the Valley Air Care Program has been in effect since 1995. Brownsville being a big part of the Valley Air Care project. We service the Rio Grande Valley. We service the city of Brownsville as well. We bring patients into the city of Brownsville to the trauma facilities that you have here. We also take patients out of the city of Brownsville when there's specialty care like burns and things like that can be taken care of here locally in the valley. So the project itself is utilized to help transfer patients out to specialty care centers, burn centers in San Antonio, or heart centers or cancer centers in Houston, what have you. Yes, sir.
Quick question, how many times this last year, or this year, in a whole year, does Brownsville utilize this Valley Air Care? How many times have you brought people in, and how many people have you taken out in 1 year?
We've had approximately between 35 patients that we brought into the city. And then we've taken out probably about 45 to 50 patients out of the facilities here in Brownsville.
Okay, this is an action item. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next
Thank you.
item.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next item.
Item 22, consideration and action regarding housing guidelines for the implementation of Hurricane Dolly assistance grants.
Move to approve.
Just a little summary, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. The City of Brownsville was awarded $1.2 million by the state for Hurricane Dolly repairs to homeowners. The guidelines here tonight basically spell out how we're going to be contracting this work, the priorities of the program, women with children, the elderly, and the contract modifications that we'll do with the contractor. So that's basically what the state is asking for, that we set up guidelines how we're going to conduct this work. So I ask for your approval of this.
Can I have a motion approved?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gowan, second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Honorable Mayor,
Next.
I'm sorry.
Item 23.
Speeding
Item
up.
23, consideration and action regarding a funding agreement between the City of Brownsville and Boyd Gardens LLC for the construction of multifamily housing units.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, a couple of months ago, I presented a zoning case, a specific use for some apartment units on Bowie Road. That application was successfully approved by this commission. They did, it's a tax credit application to the state. The state has approved tax credits, but they also have approved an application for what they call TCAP. And that's an incentive program. It's ERA money to the developer. What we're asking here for tonight is for a loan that's been capitalized with the proceeds of a program that was years ago by the name of UDAG, Urban Development Action Grant. Those proceeds, that loan balance or that fund balance of that loan, the initial loan was to Lopez Supermarkets. They've paid all of that back, so we have a capitalized loan pool. For this type of very special projects where it's a but for this money, the project cannot happen. Well, it's the same situation here. The state requires a local commitment, and then they would grant over $6 million to this project to make this project a success. Tonight, the proposed loan is for $455,000. It's an interim financing loan that will be paid back in 12 months at the annual percentage rate that's on the day of closing. Whatever that annual percentage rate is, that's what the interest rate will be. The loan agreement needs fine-tuning. I've submitted it to Mr. Chosey. He needs to do a little bit more work on it. So what I asked for you tonight, basically, the loan will be for $155,000 for 12 months, interim financing at the annual percentage rate, vary between 1.4 to 4%. What I ask for you is that if you can approve this loan agreement, we modify it. A lot of the The language in the agreement is boilerplate, it's requirements by HUD. What I ask for you is to approve this, and then I will bring it back to you under consent agenda at the next meeting. And like that, it'll give the parameters of the loan, which is 455 for 12 months, and the annual percentage rate. Give time for our city attorney's office to fine-tune the language. Also, I'm attaching, as part of the agreement from the state, which is a little bit more detailed. They basically spell out how many units, what the income level of those units that people will be residing in, and how much tax credit funding they're giving, and the commitment of the principals to this project. We're basically doing the same thing. I'm trying to mirror that agreement with a little more of HUD terminology and HUD requirements. Also putting in that, the commitment of hiring local contractors, local subcontractors as much as possible. I think it's a good project. It's funded by the state. We approved this through a zoning case. It would provide, it would leverage over $6 million to this local community, provide jobs, and more importantly, as a housing proponent, housing for affordable housing for families.
Excuse me,
Motion approved by
Excuse me,
Commissioner
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Medina is correct in that this agreement does need some fine tuning, but my recommendation to the commission would be to table it, to let us do the revisions so it's done correctly, and then to bring it back to you for a vote.
We have a motion to approve as staff recommended. Do you want to withdraw your motion, or you want?
I could withdraw my motion.
You withdraw your motion? Okay. Do we have a motion to table to bring it back?
Move the table.
We have a motion tabled by Commissioner Zamora. Can I have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Gowan. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. It'll be brought at the next meeting, I guess. Next item, 24.
Item 24, consideration and action to award a contract for rehabilitation of taxiway D and E for the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. I would like to request this item to be tabled until the following meeting.
Move the table.
We have a motion to table. Commissioner Zamora makes a motion. Commissioner Longoria seconds it. Is that right? Commissioner Camarillo seconds it.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the table?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 25, consideration and action to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for East 14th Street.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for East 14th Street to G&T Paving of Brownsville, Texas, a low responsible bidder, for a total bid amount of $720,680.71. The engineer's cost estimate for this project is $1,116,003, which is $395,322.29 higher than the recommended bid. The contractor is obligated to complete work within 150 consecutive calendar days according to the project specifications. Funding for this procurement will be derived from the 2008 GO bond account 83-8203-9885. Engineering Department concurs with this recommendation.
Okay, this action item, motion approved by Commissioner Atkinson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 26, consideration and action to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for Lindale Street.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for West Elizabeth to R&R Paving Company out of Brownsville, Texas, the low responsible bidder, for a total bid amount of,
I read
excuse me,
Lindale.
I'm sorry.
No, wrong one.
Lindale.
Yeah, I know.
You should use a computer.
Give me 1 second, let me just find the correct page. I don't have the correct page. Okay, the recommendation is to award a, well, this is not the correct
Here,
page
Robert.
either. Okay, this is to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for Lindell Street to R&R Paving of Brownsville, Texas, the low responsible bidder, for a total bid amount of $692,375.25. Okay, the engineer's cost estimate for this project is $927,675, which is $235,299.25 higher. This contract, the contractor is obligated to complete the work within 150 consecutive calendar days. Funding for this procurement will be derived from the 2008 GO Bond, account number 83-8207-9330. And Engineering Department concurs with this recommendation.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zamora. Robert, how could,
Yes, sir.
how could we have underestimated $200,000?
Well, those are the engineers that they have estimates. Basically, when they start working on those numbers, sometimes they start like 2 months prior to bidding the project. So sometimes components, materials, you know, there's differences in pricing. Also, since, you know, for some companies, sometimes there's not enough work. Sometimes there's a tendency right now because of the economy to give us a better price, so we're just taking advantage of that.
We have several bidders, right?
Yes.
We have several bidders?
Yeah, we have several bidders.
Mr. Luna, but
yes.
they're not over, they're under. Isn't that correct? The
All the
estimated-
bids that we are presenting, the price is
Or
under the engineer's estimate, yes.
Okay, because it says here the 235 is higher than recommended,
Yeah, no, there's,
which is I'm sure incorrect, but.
yeah, it's incorrect.
No
There's a few typos. I got it mixed up on the agenda.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. Item 26.
Item 27, consideration and action to award a contract for street paving and drainage improvements for West Fourth Street, West Washington Street, and Hoff Lane.
Move to approve.
We have a motion approved. We have a second by Commissioner Atkinson. Any discussion?
Just wanted to, real quick, thank you to engineering that we finally got Hoff finally got it done, and my apologies to the people because it's been several years that we've been discussing on getting the street done, and it's finally gonna get done, so thank you for finally getting it done.
Well, it's better late than never.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 28.
Item 28, consideration and action to award a term contract for residential solid waste and brush bulky collection services for the city of Brownsville.
Staff recommendation is to award a contract for residential solid waste and brush bulky collection services to Allied Waste of Harlingen, Texas, at the stipulated prices in the contract that is attached to the agenda. Also, Allied Waste Services will provide the city with a recycling pilot program as described in the proposal, and it's also part of the package. Allied Waste will deliver a total of 200 18-gallon curbside recycling containers throughout different sections of the city. The proposed pilot program will take place once a week over a 3-month period to collect the materials at the curbside, transport recycling materials to the local recycling center, and track volumes and resident participations. Now, at the end of this pilot program, a detail of all this information will be presented to the city for analysis. Additionally, contractor will distribute a questionnaire to the residents who participate in the program to see if there is sufficient interest to possibly develop a citywide residential curbside recycling program. The primary term of this agreement will be for a period of 5 years, commencing on April the 1st, 2010, terminating on March 31st, 2015. Now, this agreement can be extended upon expiration of 5 years primary term on a month-to-month on 30 days written notice to the city and the contractor for up to 6 months, unless a longer period is agreed in writing. Now, there's a renewal on this agreement that might be extended by a written agreement between the city and the contractor for 3 consecutive 5-year periods upon the same terms and conditions. The evaluation committee concurs with this recommendation.
Well, I've been very happy with their service. Can I have a motion to approve?
Can you go over that pilot program again? Did you say 200 curbside recyclable recycling containers?
Yes, ma'am. That is
For how
correct.
long?
For 3 months.
And how are they going to pick the 200?
I'm sorry?
How are they going to pick the 200?
50 per day. Well, I believe that what they want to do is they want to choose different sections of
Go ahead.
different sections of the city of Brownsville, and strategically have those containers, in different subdivisions for 3 months. And then, since it is a pilot program and the city is not paying for that pilot program, they just want to get more information from the public to see if it's feasible and to see if there's more participation from the public.
They got to pick and choose where to minimize the risk and ensure success.
And that will be together with the city.
So I think
City's
they
input.
gotta watch the
Well,
numbers.
Mr. Luna, if we could somehow help in that process, I think that'd be great.
Definitely.
I want to commend you all for putting this on here and making this a part of the request for proposals. I think this is really the first step for the city of Brownsville to move forward on a green initiative and in curbside recycling. I can't thank you all enough for doing this, and I look forward to the partnership with Allied Waste on this initiative. So thank you all very much for that.
Thank you.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved. Commissioner Camarillo, second by Commissioner Galvin. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 29.
Item 29, consideration and action to award a term contract for a weatherization assistance program for the Planning and Community Development Department of the City of Brownsville.
Staff recommendation is to award a term contract for weatherization assistance services on a rotation basis for the Planning and Community Development Department with each of the following 6 general contractors, 3 confirmed and 3 contingent, and 4 contingent upon completion of the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs Weatherization Training Academy. And you will see the list of all the contractors that are participating on this contract. Now, the fees to be paid to the firms are based upon the negotiated construction price matrix. There's a mistake. It says index. It should be price matrix. And will be the same for the 7 general contractors. Now, the recommended general contractors will be assigned an equivalent amount of homes to be weatherized based upon rotation basis. This contract shall commence upon award by the City Commission and shall expire April 31st, 2011. That's the correction that I needed to make also. It should say April 31st, 2011. Now, the city reserves the option to extend the life of the contract for 2 additional 12 months for the same construction price matrix that is attached to the specs, to the agenda. Funding for this project is available from the American Recovery and Reimbursement Act to the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs with an available balance of $1,600,000 annually. Planning and Community Development Department concurs with this recommendation.
Okay.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria. Can I have a second? Second by Commissioner Camarillo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item to adjourn, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Motion,
Robert.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Fill out your census.